Hello.
Past. That way we've got kind of what you just said right there. Cause I mean, that ties into a lot of what we're doing right here. So I just started the recording and Cal just said what brought him here is the fact that he was doing shadow work, releasing energy, and he started feeling like this heavy, gunky tar type of a buildup. And he started researching online and he ended up finding this energy work right here. Now, Cal, that being said, define to me what you mean by shadow work, because there's a whole bunch of different things out there and there's multiple types of techniques that people use. What were you using?
Well, I've tried and done a few different methods, but the one I ended up doing was just sort of going with emotions. So I was just
Mhm.
sitting with the emotion, and eventually my body would it would come to a memory, and I don't know if it's sort of a Kundalini or myofascial, or it was guided by my higher self or something along the lines. But I'd end up doing some sort of body movements generally, um, or there'd just be tears, that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
Um, so
Very
yeah,
good.
just general, just feeling the feelings.
Very good. So that right there, that's one of the awarenesses that we actually use when we're actually going into the mind, the body, and the spirit levels. And so now that you have that experience, it's going to be really interesting to see how much this empowers your ability to tune into the emotions. Because what you're feeling right there, like when you tune into the feeling and instead of hiding from it or trying to distract yourself and think about something else, and you go in and you zone in and you focus on it, it makes it so that you have to hold on to it. And when we're holding on to it, it's it starts to create a release. And there's something called trauma release that happens. And if you've ever heard of trauma release exercises, pretty much what you do is you burn out your legs until they're shaking, and then you hold them with your legs open, and then you bring your knees together. And as you're doing that, you go into all these crazy triggers and traumas and seizure things. And what it's doing is it's actually shaking the trauma directly out of the myofascial tension. And that's what you were experiencing. And so one of the major reasons why we have pain in the body is because our muscles are pulling the bones out of alignment. And that's literally it. It's pulling on this way, that way is pulling that way. And then you have the nerve in the middle that's getting pinched on. But what is causing the muscles to pull? That's the whole entire reason that we're going in after this right here. It's that emotional energy that gets clogged up inside of the body, and eventually it gets built up so much to the point that it's like a knot, and it's twisting and it's pulling. And just like if I had a hold of my shirt and I twisted and twisted, it would pull my shoulders forward. That's what's happening inside of the musculature. And so when you go in and you start doing this type of shadow work, when you go in and you sit with the emotion and you allow that trauma release to happen, it often pops up as A, either spasm release, or B, an emotional response, as in tears releasing, you'll be laughing, you'll yell, there's all kinds of really weird things. And like if you actually start going deeper into energy work and trauma release, they have a whole set of qigong that's energy movement and motion, where you actually start creating induced chi flow, and you start finding animal ranges to where like you can feel yourself almost moving around like a deer or like a fish or something like that. And it's really interesting because it starts to create an energetic flow inside of the body, that you have very distinctive movements that, just like with that trauma release, you're not controlling. And it's almost like it's moving for you. And by the time that you're done, all the muscle tension has released, and then it's really easy to start getting everything to open up there. And so that's one aspect of what we're doing today. What we're integrating is the ability to bioelectrically activate the mind, body, spirit levels with the myofascial systems, with the blood flow, and feel them. And once you can feel the body levels, just like you feel the emotional levels, then you can shift it, then you can move it. And what's really crazy about these languages here that the body understands is that most people, like yourself, you're going in and you're feeling it and it's having an effect. But most people don't recognize that even just by sitting there and focusing on it, you're feeding it energy, you're giving it something to do. If we start turning up those processes, if we start taking control of those processes, we can hit a resonance where all of these things can release like that. And this is that heavy sludge that you're talking about. There's very specific things that we can do to start releasing this energy, but you'll see. It's really easy once you understand it. But the thing is, most people are questing for answers inside of a language that has no words that even speaks the answers for you. And that's what we're going to do today, is we're just going to simply shut the mind down, and we're going to go into the sensation and the feeling of the body. And we're going to follow that all the way through into the energy. We're going to use that to activate the emotional energy, and then use that high vibration emotion to find any place inside of you that's heavy, that's stuck. And by the time we're done, everybody will feel how you can lift your vibration. You know, everybody talks about it, but nobody really knows how to do it. And it's really simple. You just release the heavy things that are pulling you down, because your natural state's way, way higher. And it's going to be really fun to go through this. You have any questions?
Yeah, I got loads.
Oh, shoot.
About anything?
Yeah,
regarding this
why
stuff?
not?
So I noticed, so I got to the point where I was then feeling the, so as before I'd just say, I've got a scar on my finger, and I'd go in, I'd feel that scar, same process, I'd feel an emotion, and then I'd be able to follow it. But now when I try and go into any feeling, I just feel everything at once. So I feel a little bit overwhelmed. And it's almost like everything is connected. Like my gallbladder meridian's blocked up. There's something on my back, on my shoulders. There's something, I think, attached to my heart. And whenever I try and remove it or pull using your methods I've read, it all just seems to be interlinked. And it's like, I then become overwhelmed. I've spent like 3 or 4 hours doing it. And then I sort of become tired and lost my way. So I'm not sure if I'm getting mixed up with just injuries themselves and other stuff.
So you can have negative emotions inside of injuries. You know, say for instance, like an athlete or something like that blows their knee out, you know, rips their ACL. That right there, all of a sudden, they're not just looking at all this pain and this recovery that they have to go through. They're looking at the end of their career for the foreseeable future, if they ever can heal and come back into, you know, the right frame of mind, the right frame of body, to where they can perform at the same levels. And so what happens when you have something like that happen, not only is that pain creating an energetic disturbance that it's dense to begin with. You don't like it. Nobody instinctively enjoys having tendons ripping inside of their body. And when you have something like that, and all that fear and all that worry and all of that goes around it, these are physical energies that have a very distinctive weight, that have a very distinctive lack of flow. And this is actually one of the reasons why injuries hold on more than anything. And so if you do have trauma, it doesn't matter what level it's on the mind, the body, or the spirit, that's density. And so when we start finding those levels like that, we just have to understand the processes of the way the body knits itself back together. Pretty much the way that muscle tissue works is everything is long, smooth, silky strands. And it's almost like if you're looking at like a field of tall grass and the wind's blowing in one direction, it's all striated together. It's all naturally matted together. There's no tangles. It moves and it's gentle with itself. Now, when you have something that rips that apart, the muscle doesn't care about it looking pretty and functioning correctly. It's just trying to gum everything up. And so all those beautiful, smooth striations, they just grab a hold of each other. And it's like, you know, a bunch of chopsticks that you just dropped on the ground. And it's just creating Velcro. It's trying to glue itself back together. Once it's healed, once you have blood flow through and you can recognize that feeling and that sensation inside of the scar tissue, you can actually start going through with the energy and smoothing it out and striating it out. And most people can't even see this one here. I had my skull cracked right here, a big, gigantic star on my forehead. And you can barely see this one right here. I've got a scar right here that it exposed a vein inside of my arm right here when I cut it. And that one you can barely see. I've got scars from, you know, a horse tossed me into a barbed wire fence and it ripped, you know, big old gashes into my leg, and you can't see those anymore. And it's not because I just heal quickly. It's because I take my attention to the area to where the body recognizes the language of what I'm trying to do. And it's literally bringing your awareness to it like you've been doing with the emotions, but then shifting it, telling it what you want it to feel like instead of just sitting there and waiting for it to shift. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, let's get you muted here, Cal. Let's get on to the next one. We are officially started here. We're past the 35-minute mark, and we're still missing one person, but it's just the way that it is. They'll get a recording of this. So, Elizabeth, I'm trying to unmute you right now, and it's not letting me. Can you go ahead and unmute yourself there?
Is that good?
Yes, perfect. Hi, Elizabeth. How are you doing today?
Great. So pleased to be here with you and everyone.
I'm glad to hear that. Really glad to hear that. So what brings you here? What brought you to this place?
I know that we're magnificent things, and I I've gone through a period where things were so natural because I wasn't thinking about them, but now since things are really picking up speed, it's I feel really blocked. Especially my throat has just been like somebody choking me the last year. And I'm learning your pearls, your latest
The Pearl of Awareness. Yeah.
That was a lovely one. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of, there's just so much, and I'm a feeler, and I'm just here because I know if I can learn how to move it, it's gonna start flowing for me. But
Perfect. Now I see you. So one of the things about why people get drawn into my work is because when they hear me talk about it or when they read something about it, it's not just what is on the words or in the story that you're reading or that you're hearing. I connect directly into these energies right here, and then I translate them. And so while I'm directly connected into it, I'm talking about it. And that's one of the things that people feel is like the words are a pathway to open up the awareness into the energy of what I'm feeling. And no, I see you. I get you. No words aren't needed. Thank you so much for being here. All right, let's get you muted here, Elizabeth. Floretta, I'm unmuting you now. Hello.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
How are you doing today?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
I'm really glad to hear that. So what brings you here today, Floretta?
I've been doing your work, and I'm loving it. And I find I find my body's always twisting and pulling, and I can unwind myself, but then it just always keeps wanting to turn. So when I go in, I can and I don't know what I'm looking at, and I think I'd like to know what I'm looking at.
Gotcha.
Especially if I'm going into gallbladder or heart. But it seems like once I get there, and I'm like, why is my heart beating so fast? Mm-hmm. And I go there, and to see like why am I so anxious? What's going on? And I seem to just like go into some golden place, and I'm like traveling, and I'm like, well, what happened to going into my heart? Like I was like, what is that? And so, and then I'll hear my mind come in and try to explain, and it's like, I don't even know if I should believe that what I'm hearing. So.
So you've got a really interesting energetic pattern going on. Your body's dense. There's a lot of density, but your mind and your spirit levels are really on point and aware and activated. And it's really funny because like, as you were talking about it, so this golden place that you're going to right there, that is the essence of your vital life force essence. That's your soul that you're actually tapping into, and that's its natural state. And so as you're trying to go into the body, it's almost like you're leaving the body behind and you're going into the natural form. Yes. I think what we need to do more than anything is show you actually a few stretches and how to incorporate the energy into the physical stretching, and then get that to start releasing from that level. And that's going to start bringing your body back into focus, back into awareness, because what we want to do is actively take our mind and our spirit out of the equation and go fully into the body. Once we can feel that, then we can pull the other things into that same resonance. Does that make sense?
Yes. I've done a few of your stretches. The one I really like is looking through the moon. That one where you go back, and my body loves that.
Yeah, that one right there. So when I was in my early 20s, I'd done so much damage to my body that people thought I was in my 40s. And like that one, it's literally rejuvenated me. And it's really interesting because like even right now, like I'm still like recovering from this nasty sickness my kids brought home. Oh my goodness. So I've got 5 kids, and I've got 3 schools and 2 school districts that I have to deal with back at my house here. And this last one just hit me. I normally never get sick, but but even now I don't look like I'm anywhere near as old as I used to. And
no, you look very vibrant.
This carrying the moon, like this chasing the moon, whatever you want to call it. This one right here is such a powerful rejuvenative exercise. Okay. And it's all about getting the mind and the body and the spirit to work together. And that's what's so powerful about Qigong. but you have to know how to activate the body first. And so I think what we do today, once you understand how to tune into the skin, the muscles, the bones, your Qigong is going to blow your mind. But I was actually talking about something a bit different. And, let's actually do it right now. Why not? So what I want everybody to do, you're going to take your fingers and just interlace them like this and place them behind your back. I'm going to have to sit up here for this. And so what you're going to do, watch my shoulders here. Going to inhale. Shoulders up, then pull the shoulders back like you're trying to touch the shoulder blades together, and then press down on the exhale. Lock your elbows straight. And what this is doing, this is popping open the front of the chest right here. And what you're going to want to do is take a big, giant, deep breath into this and just feel how that stretches everything in there. Now, that right there, this is everything that usually gets tight inside of people, and it causes everything to pull forward. This is where the shoulder slumping comes from. This is where the neck gets pulled down. These muscles here, these muscles here. Now, go ahead and repeat this, but what we're going to do this time, watch what I do with my chin. I'm going to pop it forward, just like that, and then I'm going to look straight up. Now, deep breath into this. And go ahead and relax that and shake that around. And what this does is it immediately starts to release the pressure off of the spine where everything's pulling you forward. And you feel how much more open that is already?
Yes.
Now take a deep breath into that and watch how we haven't even done any energy work, but you've got a lot more lung capacity now, don't you?
Yes.
See, this is where we have to start bringing the attention to. It's these sensations right here. And you've got a really clean connection to some really powerful energy, like all three of you so far do. It's really kind of funny. Like, so I've been noticing with these classes that people who actually have the same type of energetic systems and energetic proficiency, they often end up in the same class. So it's really kind of interesting to see how you guys, it's like when you pour a bunch of multicolored beads into like a Plinko machine, they will automatically sort themselves by color because the color has a specific vibration. And it's like you guys just fall right into your perfect niche. So anyways, so what happens here is when you're connecting in on these levels, when you're feeling these feelings, when you're feeling that flow, that travel, that movement, it's almost like you're not inside your body anymore, is it?
That's right.
Now, what I want you to do, put a gentle smile on your face and take a big, deep breath into those muscles that you felt stretching. Pull that smile in. That right there, you feel how that's already making tingling sensations?
Yes.
So that right there, that's the body. That's where we want to start really working inside of, because that tingling right there, what you're doing is you're turning up that bioelectric flow. And our brains and our nervous system, they're like fiber optic cables that they transmit information and electricity, bioelectricity. And when you take yourself out of the mind and you inhale into the body with the intention of feeling that focus inside the body, it turns up that bioelectricity. Once that reaches a specific enough level, it actually activates the iron in the water in your blood. And that's that tingling sensation that you're feeling right there. Once you can move that through the body with strength, you can explore anywhere inside of you. And more importantly, bring the mind and the spirit energies into that tingling and actually embody them. Does that all make sense?
Yes.
Perfect. This is going to be fun. All right, let's get you muted here, Floretta. You're very welcome. All right, looks like Starlight. Starlight, is that Washington? I met you at the Sweat, Starlight?
Yes, Yinan.
Oh, hi, Yinan. How are you doing?
How are you?
Oh, I'm so excited that you're here. This is going to be so much fun.
I know.
Well, if you guys are here in the group with Yinan, you're definitely on a very specific light level. She's a very interesting lady. She's got a lot of incredible light, and I'm tickled pink that she's here for the group again. She really brings a lot to it. And this is what, your second one?
In this class, yes.
Yeah.
I have class.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we have the, you've been to the intermediate too, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I want to tell you the one last time is so powerful. And I will end the book I'm writing, the epilogue. I will write about that session with you, so you will end my book.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. That's going to be so fun.
Oh, it's very powerful because it starts from Athena quest to a goddess living a male society to be father's daughter and end up with your healing. 100,000 words.
Oh my goodness. Your
I
book is
know.
100,000 words?
I know it's my second language, and I was like, I wrote the epilogues already. And then
Wow.
after our session and so much integration, I cry a lot. You have no idea. I cry for every single woman on planet Earth.
Oh. You're doing such amazing grid work. Like, it's so interesting to tune into what you're doing here. So like when you're talking about the book, there's a very interesting feeling that's happening. It's almost like there's a birthing, there's a creation energy that's inside of it that I feel multiple timelines coming off of this. There's really beautiful emotions and energies that are evoked inside of people just by reading your book. I'm actually really excited to read that.
Yes.
Huh. So how have you been? It's been what, almost a month since I've seen you now?
I have no idea. I feel I'm like a baby, like really reborn, like not like even I write a book, it's like far away memories, you know, and I have future memories come to me.
Interesting.
Yeah, so a lot of things, like people talk of politics things. I was like, yeah, it's already happened. We are just moving through time space station. Like it already happened. We are in a movie already.
Well, have you
already many story, multiple timeline. We just cherry pick which timeline we want to jump around and weave our own stories.
Exactly. And then you create the resonance that you feel inside of that timeline, and then it's like a magnet that pulls you right into it. That's so cool that you're figuring that out. Have you gotten to the point to where you feel like you're standing still and everything's moving around you yet?
I felt that. I felt like the kingdom of heaven is within you, right?
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Yeah, so I feel it's really the kind of purity, like a child, to not abuse power, because I realized there were times in my life I'm not total connect with my power because I was punishing myself from my soul that worry about I will make a mistake again. But if you become a child, you know, you just follow your heart in that moment. It cannot do wrong. So I watch a lot of powerful ladies or beautiful men, all of those still struggle of, and I think the biggest tragic of being human is we are not our full self. And we are like a crippled in our emotion, this and that, you know. And I love what you said with the other gentleman about athletes are so afraid of their end of career. That's exactly my injury about. Because the identity is dying, is all about fear. And I was like, I cannot be a Superman anymore. And now I have to become like half crippled to go through this thing. Say, I love my injury. I love this moment. I understand every crippled human being. And I will bloom and sorrow everybody. I feel so good.
Oh, that is so fun. Your energy is completely different since the last time I tuned into you. You have a very crystalline, almost like a blooming flower type of an aspect that's going on right now. I'm really excited to see what happens with your book. Like I feel there's very specific resonances that are coming from that I don't really feel anywhere else on the planet right now. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how that one all turns out. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You are so very welcome. All right, let's get you muted here, Starlight. So now we have one more person who is supposed to be here, but they're not here. So what we're going to do is really kind of hold space for this person when we get done and we do the energy work. And what we want to be doing here, now that we kind of introduced ourselves and we kind of have a feel for each other right now, is, well, one thing first, we definitely want to keep the microphones muted, and that way that the meditations are nice and pristine. There's no interruptions going on. And if you do have questions, I'll bring everybody back and then we'll have questions right then and there. If not, we'll just keep on going, and we'll try to make it so that when you guys have the replay, these meditations are super pristine, everything's right on point, and then you can just go and you can cherry pick right into what you want to really kind of practice on. And as for the person who's missing, if they show up, that'll be you know, they're going to kind of miss a lot of the stuff in the beginning, but it's okay. They can come back and read it, watch it again. But if they're not going to show up, we're going to hold space for a timeless energetic capsule for this person to step into when they do rewatch it. Because when you do this energy work, like Enan was talking about, you can start remembering the future. You know, like time and space is literally non-existent. It's all happening right here and right now. And there is no past, there is no future, there's only the present. And it's when we get stuck inside of the past, that's where we get bogged down. That's the etheric density. That's the heaviness that's pulling everything down, where we have trapped emotions that we haven't cleaned out, where we have karmic connections through past lives of lifetimes that are broadcasting heavy, dense emotions or feelings at us, or programs that go and then we feel them and we start to pick them up. And or even ancestral, you know, we get stuff handed down to our parents, just like they are handed down from our parents, just like they got stuff handed down to them. And we all pick up our own emotions, our own energies, our own feelings. And this is that weight. This is that heaviness that everybody talks about, but nobody has an awareness enough to feel until you release them. You know, it's the weight of the world on your shoulders, you know, carrying other people's burdens. You know, these are very real, heavy sensations. Just like when we ignore the words and we go into the feeling, we can feel an extreme amount of sensation with grief. You know, it's like a wound, a soreness, a heaviness in the chest and the throat that's like pulling down. You know, anger, it's like this burning, roiling ball of fiery acid in the stomach. You know, fear, it's like this icy slap that just, you know, deer in the headlights. All of a sudden you're ready to fight or fly. You know, jealousy, it's a feeling of like an anger because I don't have that. You know, these feelings, they're very specific inside of the body. And this is what we want to be paying attention to just as much as we do the body and just as much as we do the mind, because that's the trick. We have a mind, a body, and a spirit. And we can't just pay attention to one of them, because then we're missing the trifecta. And if you have a tripod and you take out one of the legs, it's going to fall over no matter how strong the other two legs are. And I don't care how strong the body or the mind is, or how strong the mind or the body, or the mind and the spirit is, or how strong the spirit and the body is. If you're missing out on one core component, you're missing the foundation that you can build on. And that's exactly why this is called the Foundations class. So what we're going to do here, I think actually I want to go through a couple more physical stretches and just kind of get things to open up on that level, because I find that when we get the body to start understanding what we're trying to do simply by taking a big deep breath and stretching it from the inside, it's almost like we're triggering into the language that we're going to be exploring a lot more later today. And that gets us to start actually letting things go and open up a lot more blood flow. Because again, if you have that activated blood from the bioelectricity and you have the emotions, you have the frequency inside of that, and you're moving it through the body, it unblocks everything. And if you have something that's blocked, it's really easy to tune into just because it's not moving. And that's all you have to do is just recognize, like, this is moving, this is not moving. I'm going to make it so strong in here where it's moving that it comes over and it takes this away and it flushes it out, and then everything's good to go. So, now what stretch are we going to do? I think we actually want to start off with the thymus pump real quick. So the thymus pump, what this does, you're going to just put your hands together like this. And when you inhale, you're going to inhale as deep as you can. And once you hit the end of the breath, you're going to keep on inhaling for a full 3 seconds, even if you're not pulling in any more air. And you're going to pull apart as hard as you can as you're doing this. So deep breath in. 1, 2, 3, relax. And pay attention to how you just created pressure right here. What you're doing when you pull apart as hard as you can, you're squeezing the muscles, you're flattening things down. And when you inhale really deep, it's like the inhalation is squeezing up inside and you're smashing everything in between the ribs and the lungs into the rib cage right there. And what this is doing is your thymus. It's a major immune system organ that looks like a butterfly right here. And when you do that, you're squeezing it out and it's full of white blood cells, T cells, immune system cells. And then when you exhale and let go, it becomes empty and it has to refill. So let's go ahead and do this again. Deep breath in. Now pay attention. There's movement in the chest. It's almost like your throat's starting to move now. What's happening here? Your lymphatic systems. It's the yin flow in the body. The yang flow is the active, the heart that's pumping the blood all the way through the body. It's forcing it to move. The yin flow, it's inactive. You have to move it. You have to exercise. You have to have hot and cold temperature regulation. You have to walk. You have to move. That's what shifts it around. And what we just did is we borrowed from the active yang side and we pumped the thymus. It's almost like you're turning your thymus into a heartbeat that's moving your lymphatic systems. And already this is starting to open things up. So let's do this one more time here. Now that it's full again, deep breath in. Let it go. Now that right there, that starts moving the sewage system of the body. That starts getting the systems of blood flow to open up and prime and to release underneath what we're normally used to with the yang flow, the pumping of the blood through the systems. And what this is doing already, you can feel how it's starting to relax. There's almost like there's movement in your head and things starting to drain down. Now that we've got this opened up on that level, let's go ahead and do that other stretch that we were doing. Go ahead and clasp your hands behind your back. Shoulders up to the ears, touch the shoulder blades behind the back, and press down. Pop the chin out, looking straight up. Deep breath in. And relax. One more time. Shoulders up, back, press down, chin out, look up, deep breath in. And relax. Let it go. Let me move my chair out of the way real quick here. All right, so the next one that we're going to do is a quad stretch. What you want to do is just take your hand, grab your foot, and as you pull this up right here, you're going to feel the stretch in the quad. Take a big, deep breath and feel how the belly can open up, and you actually can make this stretch a bit more intense just by breathing in deep. Let me point this down here a little bit. What I want you to do is point the knee backwards. Deep breath in. Let it relax. Let's get the other side here. Normal quad stretch. If you can't balance, just use something to hold on to. Deep breath into the quad. Let it stretch open and relax. One more time. Point the knee behind you, stretching up into the psoas muscle, the top of the hip. Deep breath in. Let it out. Oop, falling here. Deep breath in. And relax. Let it down. All right, let me move this in here. Now, just pay attention to how your body feels right now. Pay attention to, let me line that up. Pay attention to how as you sit back down, there's a lot less tension inside of the body. It's almost like the hips are more open, like the lower back is letting go. And the reason that we stretch the front of the body like this is simply like I was talking about earlier. Like if I were to grab my shirt and twist and twist and twist, my shoulders would get pulled forward. And this right here, my earphones, hold on. And this right here, forward slumping shoulder position. These muscles pulling down make your head go like this. It's literally all it is just tight muscles on the front side, but they're pulling so hard that everything's getting pinched back here, and then this side has to yank you back that way, and you end up with a tug of war. That's it. That's it. And so when you start to recognize how that works, when you start to be able to inhale into the body like that and just feel it stretch, it starts to get things to let go on the muscle memory level that let you move chi a lot easier. And so what we're going to do now is actually start moving the chi. And once you actually realize how to do this, then you're going to understand how the stretches, you can start moving energy through them and you can release them and get the muscles to let go. But that's all with the, once you get there. So what I want everybody to do now, go ahead, watch my belly right here. This is my belly button, pelvis, solar plexus. Deep breath in. And out. And in. And out. Lots of movement there. Now watch, I'm going to do the exact same thing. And this is how much my chest moves with it as well. It's a full body movement. Let's get that there. It's a full body movement. When you inhale, you can open everything up from the pelvic floor all the way up through the entire body up into the throat. And it's one continuous opening sensation. And that's what I want you to start tapping into right here. Big, deep, full breaths. Use the expansion in your lungs and in the tummy that these stretches have given you and really stretch into it and feel where the end of that is. And on the exhale, completely and totally let go. Don't push it out. Don't hold on to it. Bring it up to the top. And release. Almost like a sigh. Let's sink into this for about 30 seconds or so together here. Then I'll start walking you through the deeper levels of awareness that we need to go into. I believe my neighbors just turned on their lawnmower a little bit ago, so I apologize for that. I'm going to turn off my camera here so I'm not distracting on that level. What I want everybody to do is pay attention to my voice and listen to what's going on, but stay with the focus firmly entranced in the breath. And right now, this is a breathing pattern that's mind-based, meaning that you're focusing in the mind with it. A deep breath in and let it go. Deep breath in, let it go. And all we're going to do is a simple switch of perspective so that we're not inside of the mind and letting it control the breath, but we're using the breath as an exploratory tool. What I want you to do is do the exact same breathing pattern, but just simply switch your focus to paying attention to how much movement the skin is creating underneath the clothes. Inhale and feel how the muscles stretch the skin on the outside, how you can feel the temperature. Easily notice if there's air moving or if the air is still around you. Just by simply paying attention to these sensations, they're already getting more there, more obvious, more intense. And this is your first body language command. We don't want to ask the body to do things. We want to feel it happen and then make it work. Don't ask, do. Pretend like you've got a volume dial attached to these sensations. Use that inhalation to flex your will and turn that volume dial up. Feel these sensations much more intensely. Crank up that bioelectricity and feel that tingling start. Now this tingling is synonymous with that bioelectricity flow. And just by paying attention to the skin, it's turning on. As you inhale, turn up the awareness, turn up the tingling, and use each breath, each inhalation to push just a little bit more. What you're doing is it's almost like you're using the energy you're used to focusing with inside of the brain and dumping it into the bucket of the body when there's nowhere near enough energy to fill it. And it immediately starts to respond, to turn on, to turn up. It hyperactivates the nerves inside the skin. And whenever we have a hyperactivation, that means that there's places next to it that we become aware of because they're simply touching. What I want you to do is crank this volume dial up as high as it will go. And on the exhale, relax and release and drop this tingling awareness into the muscles underneath the skin. Feel how that tingling gently descends down through the layers, and it's almost like you're sparking an X-ray or an MRI that you can't see, but you can feel. And turn this up just like you did inside the skin. Feeling how the chest expands and opens, how the muscles of the abdomen shift back and forth from the pelvis to the rib cage, ballooning open, stretching outward, and then relaxing on the exhale. Turn this up, feeling how these muscles are stretching, how they're tight, how they reach the end of the inhalation, how they connect into the bones, how they pull that structure around, feeling the structures of the bones, not the same way you do the muscles, but by feeling where the muscles are not, where they connect, where they pull. Feel how obvious it is to pay attention to your rib cage. Feeling it stretching on the front, opening at the throat at the top, the solar plexus at the bottom, under the armpits on the sides. Feel how everything in between the shoulder blades, all the way connecting into the spine, expands just as much as the front side. Turn this up. Stop asking for more awareness in the body and just simply tune in and feel. Very good. Now we're going to start bringing in a different technique here. Let me get my camera on. What I want you to do is just gently take your hand and place it up in front of you. Just drag the fingers of the other hand all the way down through the forearm, down to the elbow. Just start moving back and forth. And as you're doing this, turn up the volume dial and feel how this movement, this sensation, it creates this trail, this ripple, almost like a bioelectric sensation. And you can feel how the fascia responds to the touch. Now that this is nice and activated in the arm and the hand, let the other arm relax. And just like we moved the skin with the breath, and then we went deeper into the muscles, start to move the hand. Feel the tendons, the bones, the muscles, everything sliding underneath the surface area. Feel how when you straighten out the elbow and rotate the palm up and palm down, you can feel your shoulder socket rotating. Start to really pull this into the whole body, moving the neck, the shoulders, the other arm, flexing, tightening, releasing, and feel how the body is so much more obvious. And this is how we gain a clean awareness in order to start working on this level. What I want you to do, go back to your breathing, slow down the movement, and pay attention to how the sides of the neck and the tops of the shoulders get tight and lift up at the top of the breath. Then how they relax and everything lets go. You're going to start to turn this up on both ends of the volume dials here. Inhaling in, turning up this awareness, turning up this tingling, and uncovering microscopic Velcro inside of the muscles of hard glue that's supposed to be water that's stuck. And on the exhale, start to dissolve it. Don't ask for relaxation. Start to feel it. Turn this up. Both ends of the volume dial here, demanding more awareness with each inhalation. Exhaling and dissolving that Velcro, releasing the muscles from each other, feeling the jaw unhinging, feeling the neck and the throat relaxing and letting go. Feel how the shoulders lift with each inhalation and turn up that drop. Turn up that exhale and relax. Feeling how you're unknotting the solar plexus, almost like you've got a rag and you're wringing the water out. And you're wringing so tight it makes that knot form in the middle. Use that exhale to unknot it. Feel the relaxation. Don't ask. Don't wish. Walk up to the muscles. Become aware of them. And show them how you want them to feel in a language they understand. They understand tension. They understand relaxation. Turn this up. And you've got 3 specific areas I want you to start focusing on. Well, 4 technically, the knees are 2. But the knees, the solar plexus, and the throat. And when you inhale, feel how you expand and open the throat and the solar plexus. Turn up the volume dial in the knees. Feel how they're solid, strong. And on the exhale, unknot the knots. Dissolve the Velcro. Liquefy the glue. Feel the hard, frozen areas break up and melt. And truly feel relaxation, not hopeful thinking. Very good. And now what you're doing is directly talking to the muscle memory. You're not hoping and wishing. You're walking up to that button that says rest and relax, and you're pressing it by making the muscles feel what you want them to. It's as simple as that. What we're going to do now is we're going to start following movement into the body and hyperactivate this bioelectric flow so we can start moving it. What I want you to do, pay attention to the nose, to the nostrils, and turn that volume dial up and take a big deep breath and follow that silky river of the wind up through the face, back through the throat, down through the windpipe, right into the lungs, searching, turning up that volume dial, finding the very bottoms of the lungs in the solar plexus region. And turn this up. Feel the lung tissue saturating with this tingling sensation. Feel the rib cage moving around protectively. Feel the muscles pulling that protection around, expanding and opening, gliding underneath the skin. Feeling the skin shifting under the clothes. And turn this all up. Feeling that tingling sensation starting to skyrocket, becoming incredibly strong. If it was light, it would be shining outside the body right now. Very good. And now don't think about this. This is not a brain-based pattern. This is a feeling technique. Grow your lungs until they expand through your entire body. Feel them inflate from your feet to your hands to the top of your head. And as you inhale, turn this up as loud as you've ever felt it and follow the breath back through the face, the throat, down through the chest. And as you inhale, magnetically pull that movement, that sensation of the wind on rushes of tingling waves all the way through the entire body, into the hands, into the feet, and into the head. And on the exhale, dissolve that Velcro. Connect it into much more than just muscles right now. There you go. It all starts with a movement outside the lungs, a feeling of that tingling, shifting, a sensation of flow. Tune in and turn that up. Make it strong. There we go. Use that exhale to dissolve the Velcro in any places that are not moving, using that inhalation to push through even stronger. Now start to tune into how the gravity is pressing you into the earth. Feel how your bones are the rigid, solid structures that all the soft tissues are hanging down from. Use that exhale as you're dissolving the Velcro to start releasing anything sore, anything tight, anything that's heavy right into that gravity, almost like the earth is sucking density out of you. Turn the gravity of the earth up, feeling it sucking down even stronger. Almost like you're dropping heavy weights right out of the body, feeling how it lifts you up, how you get lighter. Very good. Very good. And we're going to start coming back here. We've got to bring the brain back into this so we can remember, that we can open up the mind, the body, spirit connections and not just blank out and forget this like a dream. Last 3 breaths here, the strongest ones that you've got. And just move as much as you can into the hands and the feet. Exhale and drop the weight, feeling it suck even harder. And turn this up. Last one, strong as you can. And relax. Gently start wiggling the fingers, wiggling the toes. Gently start to rub the face with the hands. Blink the eyes a couple times and come on back. Alrighty, I'm gonna go ahead and unmute Cal here. How are you feeling there, bud?
Super angry.
Super angry. So
Yeah.
Why is this coming up? What are you feeling? Where is this in the body right now?
Well, first, with breath work, it always makes me feel super angry. I don't know what
Not
it
me.
is. No. Oh,
Not
yeah,
me.
no one else. I've always...
So what you're doing right here is you've actually got a lot of stuff in the gallbladder and the liver that's trapped in there. And this is trapped with frustration, with annoyance, with anger energies. And so when you're doing this breath work and you're starting to move through, do you feel how there's almost like a feeling of weight or a hardness inside of your solar plexus on the right side there? Watch, try to actually inhale that wind and that tingling directly through the liver, the whole right side down into the right hip.
Yeah, I felt that before during meditation. The whole right side of my body is tight in all places.
And what you're doing right here is, as you're moving this energy through, it's like you're cleaning out the physical stagnant places that are capping that emotion off. And so what this is doing is then it's starting to bleed out that emotion. And that's perfect. That's actually where you want to be, because right now you're not angry, but you're feeling anger, aren't you?
Yeah, the main... It's because I missed the beginning as well. I accidentally pushed escape and I had to come back on, and I felt like I missed the beginning. And then it was tapping into my programs of I can't focus and concentrate, and then I couldn't focus, concentrate. My mind was attacking me. I couldn't be present and do the stuff. I felt like I'd missed how to do it, and I was just feeling super angry.
So what did you miss? Where did you come back in, and what did you hear?
I don't know. I must have only missed about 3 seconds. That was enough.
You're fine. The bottom line is that you have to turn up the tingling sensation, and you do that by going in through the skin, the muscles, and the bones. Once you can feel that tingling sensation, that's the key. You can start making that stronger. You can start putting other stuff into it, and that's just the base level right there. We've still got other stuff that we have to add on top of that. But once you feel this is the key point. So when you do inhale into the body, you feel that tingling rush, correct?
Yeah, in certain places.
Okay. So it's not everywhere, but you do feel it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now, those other places that you're not feeling it, that's where blockage is. Do you see how you can start tuning into high vibratory emotions and use them to discover where it's stuck?
Yeah.
There we go. So a lot of the stuff is all about that smile energy. We're going to tune into that next here once we go through everybody real fast. But the smile energy, this is the whole reason that we have that density inside of the body. This is why we feel those emotions. And if you know how to create high vibratory emotions on command, do you already start to see how powerful that would be?
Yep.
Because as soon as you can create high vibration, anything that's heavy, anything that's rotten, anything that's stuck, it sticks out like a sore thumb. And once you have a place to put your awareness into, all you have to do is clean it out. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I don't care how stagnant something is. If you've got like a water trough or something, I've got a horse farm back out over here. And if you've got a water trough or something like that that's got a bunch of rotten, disgusting bacteria in it, and it's been sitting there for like a month and a half, none of the horses are drinking out of it, nothing will touch it. I don't care how rotten it is. If you put a hose inside of it and you turn it on, eventually it'll be clean. And that's the same exact process that we want to understand is happening inside of the body. Now, the other one that I want to know is on the exhale, that Velcro release. What were you feeling there with that?
I don't know. I completely lost it at that point to my mind.
Okay. So this is actually why I'm bringing everybody back right now, because what happens when you start tapping into these connections and into these sensations, what ends up happening is you'll either have one of two things. You'll completely blank out, or then on the opposite end, you'll completely and totally flush out inside of the mind, and you'll be aware of everything going crazy in there. And so what ends up happening is the mind, the heart, and the intestines, they're just as much neural tissues as each other. Your brain is just as much neural tissue as your intestines are, except that the brain's the only one that uses the spoken word and the story level. And so what you're doing as you open up those neural connections into the body brain, into the heart, into the gut instinct, what's happening is it's almost like you don't have enough awareness inside of the head to encompass that expansion. And so this is why we have to come back. It's almost like we have to go and we touch into it, and then we come back and talk about it on a logical level. That way we can keep going deeper in and make those neural pathways stronger. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you're definitely going to want to go through this again. Like when everything's said and done, you're going to want to go through these meditations once the replay is there for you. And the more you go through it, the more it's going to make sense for you. Especially once we get all the big things that are blocked up inside of the body to release and let go. And then once we do all the work on each other too. So let's get you muted here, Cal. Elizabeth, I am oh, yep, there we go. Elizabeth, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. So how are you feeling right now?
I feel good, but I feel encased in trauma or grief. Like my body feels really dense.
And it's almost like you can feel a heaviness pushing in, correct?
Yes. And it took a while to be able to push that down into the ground, and that felt good. And then I felt much lighter.
Good. And like right now, you actually feel like you lost weight. You're physically lifting up, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So let's just do a quick little exercise that goes into the, excuse me, breakfast is trying to come back. Let's go do a quick little exercise with this grief energy. And Cal, this will be really helpful with your anger energy, but the grief is in the lungs. So Cal, you're going to want to be focusing on the gallbladder liver to the right of the solar plexus. What I want you to do, Elizabeth, just put a gentle smile on your face and just feel it. And recognize, doesn't make you happy, does it? It's not your happiness. The smile is just something that it's fake unless you feel that sensation. And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to inhale, just like you have been doing, into your lungs, but I want you to pull the feeling of the smile into the body with you. And feel that inside of your lungs, and take 3 or 4 big, deep breaths. Cal, you're going to want to, or Kyle, you're going to want to be doing this with the solar plexus there. Start using that exhale to drop the weight as well. You'll be noticing it's a lot easier there too. There you go. Do you see how it's warming up inside of the lungs right there? How's that feel there, Elizabeth?
Good.
Now, that sensation, it's like a warm softness that it's making things that are hard go soft. And you didn't even know they were hard until they started going soft, right?
Right.
See, this is what high vibratory emotions are. Now, the mechanics behind this is it's really actually quite simple. Your body, it speaks in a very specific language, and your posture is one of those languages. And say, for instance, that you're standing in like the Wonder Woman or the Superman position, you know, your hands on your hips, your shoulders thrown back, your head wide, and your feet spread. If you stand like that for 5 minutes, you're going to start feeling absolutely just on top of the world, simply because you would never naturally stand like that unless you felt amazing. And if you don't feel amazing when you're standing like that for, 3, 4, 5 minutes, the body starts to recognize the imbalance. And it says, hey, I don't feel this, but I'm supposed to be. Look, I'm in this position. And so it starts to create it. And what we're doing is the exact same thing energetically, except we're hacking that body level, that tingling sensation, and then we're pulling the smile into it. And that creates an imbalance, a vacuum, and that's filled with dopamine, technically the only thing that you actually enjoy. And that's that bubbling sensation, that warmth. Make sense?
Yes.
So that's what we're actually going to start going into here in a second. But when you have these grief fields and these heavy things, and especially when you're getting good at moving the energy around, like these things get really obvious. And if you don't know how to release them, it just kind of gets uncomfortable. That's why I did that little segue right here, because everything feels a lot lighter and a lot more open now, doesn't it?
Yes.
See how easy this is?
I've never felt my thymus before.
Mm-hmm.
When we did the Velcro release, I felt it for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
It was tight.
And that's the thing. When you start feeling places that have that cramp, that tension, those are the fight or flight patterns. That's the stuff that's keeping your mind racing, your heart pumping, your stomach tight, your pelvic floor clenched, and everything in that shallow chest breathing that eventually, like when you try to take a deep breath into it, you run into the muscle memory. It's like you've got bands of cloth around your chest that are too tight to let you inhale into it.
Right.
And it's literally nothing more than training yourself into it by not recognizing the language your body's speaking underneath the surface. The words, they'll hide everything. The last time that you got into an altercation with somebody where you were angry at them, they were angry at you, and you're letting each other know about it. Like right there, that's all word level. You're angry about something and you're trying to lash out and let that person know you're angry about it, and they're doing the exact same thing back. But if you ignored the story, if you ignored the words, you'd feel that hot, roiling ball of acid in your stomach eating holes inside of you. And that right there, that's the body language level. And we'll completely ignore it, and we're trained to think that everything on the outside is real, when in fact it's truly not. The only thing that's real is what's right here inside of us. Because, and it's kind of weird, especially coming from my perspective here, like I'm teaching you guys how to do this, but you guys can't prove to me that I'm real from your perspective. Like all of you might be in a coma right now. Try to think about that for a second. All of this might be just perception. You might have like electrodes on your head right now that's creating all of this. You cannot say otherwise. And if that's the case, you're the only thing that's technically real. And that's the way that you should be operating, because your health, your happiness is more important than any other opinion from the outside that's not real, isn't it?
Yes.
That's what that comes down to. That's all this is about.
It's like so simple, but so chaotic.
Exactly. And I'm not saying I'm not real, because I feel real, but we do have our own individual bubble, our own individual universe, and we're co-creating together, because this is my space. That's your space. What's mine is mine, and what's yours is yours. And I can stretch my space out to the edges of my universe, much, much bigger than my body. I can't even comprehend the amount of space I can encompass. It's much too big for physical measurement, but so can you. And what we're doing is all these little bubbles of universes are coming together and co-creating this space on the outside that is nothing more than a projection of what's happening on the inside. And this is why the world's so screwed up right now. It's because we got a lot of messed up stuff on the inside that we got to clean out. And like all those hard, heavy places that you just released, those are the programs that are keeping this world in density. And as you clean them out, you actually clean out a lot more than just yourself. You're cleaning this out of your genetic history. You're cleaning this out of your karmic timelines. And all these times where it's not now and they're holding on to dense, heavy energy, even if it happened 10,000 years ago, if that wasn't processed and transmuted, it's still heavy. It's still pulling the planet down. That's why we're here. That's what we're doing. So, you know, it's a very, very empowering way to start really being who you truly are, to step into yourself and say, you know what? I like this right here. This I don't like. Why does this keep popping up? If I don't like that, I'm just going to make so much of this that when I put that into there, it morphs and transmutes into what I enjoy. That's how we get rid of these things. We just recognize they feel like crap and we don't like them. You know, that's it. All right. Do you have any questions about that?
No.
Awesome. So let's get you muted here, Elizabeth. Floretta, I'm unmuting you now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
How are you feeling?
Good. I'm still moving. I can't stop moving. And your last statement, it was just, wow, that just makes so much sense. I really get that. And with the breathing, I really enjoy it, but I find my mind's going, okay, now what do we do next? What do we do next? And then I just go, oh, screw it. And I start really breathing, and then it really moves. A lot of color. It really moves, and my mind isn't trying to get in there. And a lot of times I find in the exhale, a lot of swear words are coming out when I'm doing the exhale. I don't know what that's about.
Release, you know, don't get in the way. Like whatever it is that comes up, if you don't enjoy it, just let it pass. You know, it's like a freight train going by, and if you try to get in the way, it's going to hit you.
Yes.
You know, and
just a lot of unwinding.
You know, and that's the thing, like I was talking about, I think all we really need to do is just give you an awareness of your body, and already your mind and your spirit are flooding through. So I think this is just going to be really easy for you. It's going to be remembering a language that you already know and you've been working your way back towards. And honestly, you're pretty amazed that you haven't figured this out because it's so simple, right?
Yeah.
That's because it is. You know, like the mind, it'll tell you that you need an encyclopedia this big with, you know, contingency plans for plan B, contingency plan B, you know, like it doesn't matter about what the brain tries to tell us. Like it's simple and it works, and the results are the only thing that matters. And that's it. You know,
Beautiful.
That's really it. And if you are bringing results, it doesn't matter if your mind is telling you that you're wrong, because you can see the results, you can feel the results.
Right.
And it's all about learning how to trust yourself. And if you can truly feel something and say that feels better than it did, you start to trust yourself more with the bigger things. You know, it's like, I feel an energy on the outside of my body, and then you go and you make it brighter, you can change it, and then you feel it change, and I just changed something, and you start to trust it. You start to get stronger with it, and you can move through. And, you know, that's the name of the game. Like it's all about the confidence. If you think that you can or you can't, you're 100% right, no matter what. So.
Good. All right. Wonderful.
Train that placebo effect until it's 100% effective.
Cool. Yes. Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, let's get you muted here. All right, Yinan, I'm unmuting you right now. How are you feeling there?
Oh, I feel in bliss, really happy. It's not me happy emotionally, my body, even the pain spot, feel in bliss.
Good stuff. See, and it's really interesting. What you're doing is you're just kind of isolating yourself out in the woods and just feeling such intense emotion and intense energy for such a long period of time. It's really just fun to watch you work. I think you're kind of outstripping me in the light levels, honestly. Like I'm a pretty bright guy to begin with, but you're getting pretty up there, Yinan. Like it's pretty interesting to watch what you're doing.
This is interesting because in my mind conversation, I say when I teach in chakra and Kundalini energy, Eric is not born yet. And then we are preparing the road for golden being, you know, like you, because in my heart, in my soul, I recognize you like the elder. You're older than any of us. You are in a young body, you know, and I feel so touched when the first time I listened to you, everything was like, wow, we are such awareness, you know. Sometimes I listen to your meditation when I go to sleep. I feel so safe, just like the grandfather's son holding you, rock you. You go to the golden light. That's how I feel.
Oh, thank you.
When you talk about the nerves, because you know my old injury in my left side pelvis, right? And I understand because my nerves imagine that is like a story, a crystal, a dare. And my nerves try to decoding the stories because I'm a writer, so I love to know the story. And it's too old. It's almost like my poop is purple yesterday. How come today my poop is orange? You know, it's like, am I going to let go the stories, or I'm still mining the nutrition from the same old poop? So I just released it, and I don't know what's going to happen because it's a big part of my identity, and I don't know what's going to happen to balance this big things just drop because we are holding on to it.
See, and that is so funny that you equated that to poop. Like that's exactly what I call this. It's like spiritual fecal material. It's like a buildup of crap that you have inside of you that I can show you the muscles to use, and I can talk about how nice it feels to release that pressure. But until you actually release it for yourself, it's just there. There's nobody else that can do it for you. And, that's what we came in here to do, is specifically find those pieces that are ours, that we personalize, that we have spent, years focusing on that emotion and creating that resonance. And then recognizing that, oh my goodness, this is breaking me. Like this is ripping holes inside of my etheric body. It's wrecking my physical body. And then you go in and you release it. And then that relief right there from where you didn't even realize it was tight and it was sore and it was painful and holding on, to all of a sudden everything lets go. And it's like, oh my God, how did I not even know that was there? And then you let it go, and it's night and day, and these are specifically the reasons that we're here. We're here because we have a buildup of not only our past life nastiness, all the things that we did in places that were angry, that were warlike, that were raging, that were sad, that were destructive, whatever it might be. These are like these heavy weights on the outside that weigh down the entire field, and we're in the middle trying to lift up. And we came into genetics that have these same type of damages from our past life connections, our karmic connections. And then we found the genetics that allowed us to bring those in so that we could, in this place, in this now, recognize how awful it feels. And then start cleaning it out. Because as soon as you start cleaning out that center, that you start feeling the heaviness on the outside and where that's coming from. And you go and you find that too. And it's not just yours. It's like genetic fecal material. That's your whole entire ancestry that led to you. And you can clean it all out, and as you do that, you're cleaning out millions of people one time.
I know. It's like collective soup of humanity.
Yeah. And what's really interesting is like, yes, it's like a collective, but it goes through time, like, because it's all happening right now. And even if you have an ancestor that's 10,000 years ago, they're still existing right now because that emotion hasn't been cleaned out. It hasn't been processed. I love my job.
I love everything you do.
Yeah, I really enjoy having you doing what you're doing as well. It's really nice to know that there's people like you who've came before. And that's what I'm doing as well. I am not the end right here. Like, people look at me as an elder, and I feel a bit uncomfortable with it, but I accept it. I do get it that I understand a lot more than most people do, and so I'm here to teach it. But there's people who are not even alive right now who are going to be living in the energies of what we're creating here, who they are going to be stepping up into levels that I am going to be humbled by, and I can't wait for that, and it's not, I will don this teacher role until I'm no longer needed, but we're creating something so amazing.
Yes.
The kids that are going to be coming in are not going to be children. These are going to be people look at me as an old soul. These kids are ancients. These kids are going to be creating a space that is going to revolutionize everything. But they can't be here because they can't anchor in that consciousness with the amount of light that's here. We have to create that for them.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So let's get you muted here. That was a fun little segue. All right. So let me get my video off here. And let's go into the next phase. So what we're going to be doing here, we know how to tune into the physicality. We know how to tune into the body. What we're going to do is start tuning into the smile energy and move that through the body. But in order to really make this effective, we have to know how to open up energy centers. And so I only use 3, and these 3 are like my command centers: my mind, my heart, and my lower abdomen. The lower dantian is the womb space for women, or the sacral chakra. And the way that these work right here is it's the neural tissue. This is where the bioelectricity starts. This is where the activation begins, and then it moves through all the other energy centers. And so we do have the 7 energy centers that are in the Indian chakras, and they actually correspond with endocrine centers or glands. And so for men, the root would be the prostate. For women, it's the perineum. For women, it's the womb space for the sacral chakra, and for men, it's the adrenals. For women and men, it's the pancreas for the solar plexus, it's the thymus for the heart space, it's the thyroid for the throat, and then it's the pineal pituitary hypothalamus connection for the head. And when you activate the bioelectric flows, what these do is they actually create a resonance inside of each of these energy centers that they create their own little flavor, I guess you could say. And just like I've got on this picture right here, we're going to be using the lower one near the abdomen. And what I want everybody to do is take a big, deep breath and pull that smooth feeling of the wind right into this point right here. And it's almost like you're hydrating a sponge that's been in the desert for like 10 years. It's dried up, it's crusty, it's hard. And as you inhale, you're going to move that tingling right to the very center of it. And on the exhale, I want you to feel this blossoming open, meaning that you're going to take the center of that dried up area and you're going to bloom it out to the sides and then down and around, just like a flower blooming open. And this sensation here, this is like the Velcro release, but it activates, it turns on, it increases. And really start to turn that up on the exhale. Make that blossoming sensation open up. And if you look at the shape of this blossom, this is actually creating a toroidal field in the body. That's just unnatural. I don't find it's easy to hold on to that concentration. But a flower blooming, it's the exact same movement, but it's a lot more organic. It feels more clean. And pay attention to how as you turn this up, the lower back is opening up, the kidneys are opening up. And this is because you're opening up the energy center. It's creating a storage place where you can hold on to energy, where you can create much more powerful resonances than you could just by breathing through areas. Now, ever so gently, put that gentle smile on the face and do the same thing you've been doing with one major key difference. Pull that smooth, warm, soft, and gentle smile right into the lower abdomen. And on the exhale, start to blossom this open, paying attention to any place that's hard, any place that you feel softening, and let it go. Drop it out on that exhale. Feel the fires of the earth consume, pull down. There we go. Now what I want everybody to do is pay attention to the softness on the inside. I'm going to create a field around on the outside and turn up this smiling energy to as bright of a feeling as I can make. I want you to start exhaling and blossoming this open, making it bigger, and start reaching your laughter outside of the body, pushing it out with each out breath. Feeling that softness, the lightness from the outside, the softness and the lightness from the inside. Turn this up. Feeling how that smile energy has a fluttering sensation inside of it. That right there, tune in and turn that up louder and louder until you feel that fluttering vibrate back and forth and begin to echo into the feeling and the sound of laughter. And turn that up, moving waves of tingling laughter, echoing through the body. I find that my 2-year-old, when I tickle her, her guttural, hysterical belly laughter is hands down the most high vibration feeling I can create. And feel that little kid laughter. Feel that tingling, change the sensation, and turn it up. Exhale and release, dropping anything that's refusing to laugh, anything that's getting sore, uncomfortable, refusing to move right into the earth. There you go, Cal. That right there, turn that up. Start pushing through with strength, exhaling and demanding that the weight drop loose by feeling it happen. We're going to start to turn this up. Feel like you're blowing up a balloon inside your abdomen. And on the exhale, blossoming everything open from the solar plexus down into the hips. And use each exhale to make this bigger until you're literally inhaling into the entire core of the body from the head down into the thighs. Exhaling and blooming this massive rose from the top of your head down and around the sides. Feel that laughter pushing through. Feel that tingling getting stronger, and turn this up, releasing anything that refuses to move. Releasing anything that refuses to laugh. Everybody's right there. All we have to do is tap into the mind levels. Do the exact same thing you've been doing, but on that exhale, light all this movement and laughter up like the sun. Feeling the light from the inside shining into the bubble on the outside. Turning yourself into a laughing, human-shaped pillar of light inside of a brilliant golden sun. And if you can't see the light, well, even if you can see the light, still feel the effects of it. Just like if you're standing outside on a hot day with the sun shining down on your head, how you can feel it warming through the skin, down into the bones, heating the hair. All that radiance, all that light. Feel that sensation shining out of you, shining around you, brighter than the sun. Very good. We're going to start winding down. Let's get our last 3 breaths going as strong as you can. Turning this up. Releasing anything that doesn't serve into the gravity. Strong release, strong flow. Last one. And relax. Gently wiggling the fingers, wiggling the toes. Let's take the hands and start rubbing them together back and forth, creating friction heat. And when the palms feel nice and hot, place them over top of the eyes and inhale this heat through the eyeballs into the brain. Exhale, rub the face. Blink the eyes. Come on back. All right, Kyle, how are you feeling there?
Yeah, good. Good question. What causes the yawning in me?
That's trauma release right there. That's when you have vagus nerve responses that are causing tension inside the body. So your vagus nerve, it's the longest cranial nerve that runs from your brain all the way down through everything that triggers inside of the fight or flight response. So from the adrenals and the prostate all the way up. And what ends up happening is as you start releasing the vagus nerve, it's almost like the things that are built up that are automatic inside of the body start to let go. Dogs do it a lot too. If you've ever noticed that a dog's really nervous, they yawn a lot because they don't keep trauma inside of their bodies like we do. And so we store these things up. And as you're starting to release it and let it go, it just comes out in that type of a phase right there. Make sense?
Yep.
So how are you feeling right now?
I was really good. I was able to, I did notice a couple of times 2 different programs of worry and I Can't Do It coming up, but I shut them down. And I could feel, I felt a few different things in my body, like something, probably my vagus nerve going down into my heart.
Very good.
Yeah, I was focusing on, it was good.
Now, how does the anger feel right now?
Well, the thought of I can't do it is what triggers the anger. So I managed to overpower that this time. So the feeling of anger didn't come.
So what we're going to do right after this is we're actually going to start going into specific techniques that go into places like that. But the trick is you have to find out where they're at. Was there any place inside of you that you felt uncomfortable or heavy that was triggered when that came up?
Well, the anger?
Mm-hmm. Or the program of I can't do this that sparked the anger? That whole thing?
No.
Try this. What I want you to do is inhale a tingling rush of laughter and light and feel yourself getting brighter and lifting up, and pay attention for any place that is pulling down that's heavy inside of you. It's almost like you're a balloon and there's a tether that's holding on. So I'm seeing some blockage in your lower back right now that's actually not allowing your flow to move up the spine. Do you mind if I grab that real quick for you?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flush down through the head, down through the back of the skull. Let's pull that loose. So there's something in the solar plexus here that I'm feeling connected into a past life. I actually don't have confidence in teaching you guys how to do this, so I'm going to take care of this for you. So what I'm going to do, the way that I do this is I've expanded myself to where I can encompass the entire solar system and then the entire galaxy and then the entire the universe pretty much. And you can see different levels from this. And just by playing around with those levels, you can actually start tapping into where the soul connects into past life connections. And I'm feeling this here. Hold on, let me move through. What is this? So there's a lot of dodginess. It feels like almost like a thief type of a lifetime. Always trying to hide, not be found. Maybe like more of like a revolutionary type of a. Yep, there we go. Okay, so I'm wow, this is actually fairly recent. I'm seeing you in Cuba with Che Guevara. That is interesting. That's like the closest thing that I've tuned into. Normally these things are 400 or 500 years back. So anyways, what I'm feeling here, there is a schism. There is a compartmentalization of a militaristic aspect, of a family aspect, of a philosophical aspect, and a sociological aspect. And inside of these, you can find yourself in this life. You can switch into each one of these modes. And you ended up finding that these lines got blurred and crossed over as the trauma from the military ended up moving into the philosophical, family, and sociological. And it ended up shutting those down. And so what I'm feeling here is an extreme blockage to fulfilling emotion. It's almost like this guy ended up completely and totally numb. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm moving through and I'm going to place my hand against his chest and start creating emotions I wish I could experience if I were stuck in this situation, such as compassion and empathy for the world around me at large. Not feeling like I'm just by myself, yelling into a wind tunnel where nobody can hear me. Okay, there we go. It's starting to break loose, opening up the doorway for forgiveness energy. There we go. Let go of that self-loathing, that anger at the self. I can't do it. Getting angry, that actually makes a lot of sense right there. Okay, so let's start moving that through. There's still something really sticky here. Grief. Okay. Opening up the doorway into joy. There it goes. All right, now I'm going to spread the light out through this entire lifetime and start following back through the pathway, cleaning out the system all the way to you. There we go. How's that feel there, Kyle?
I got a lot of energy in my crown, and I feel blockage in my spleen and my thymus or heart more now too.
Good. So the reason that you can feel that now is because there's a lot more energy flowing. And when you have a lot more water, I guess you could say, moving through, the rocks that stick up to the surface, they make an obvious pattern in the water. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. All right, so go ahead and take a big, deep breath full of laughter and light and tell me how much stronger that is now.
Yeah, I'm feeling like another 10%.
Yeah, turn that 10% up. You can make this a lot higher. Those feelings that are stuck now, start exhaling and dissolving that blockage and drop that weight. You should be able to move a lot more now. Just like that. There you go. You feel how you've got like that big, heavy place inside of the solar plexus in the chest right now? It's almost like the front's leaning forward, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like behind as well.
Yeah. So this is the whole entire heart space that's blocked off right here. I think I'm just going to start walking you through exactly what I was going to walk everybody else through. And then I'll just go into the next people after this, and we'll talk about what they noticed with everything. So what I want you to do is just kind of tune into when you pull the bathtub plug, that swirling liquid cyclonic action. It's wide up top and it's nice and sharp down at the bottom, and it's a bunch of liquid moving. It's a really powerful visualization for internal movement. And when you inhale, you're going to immediately spin it just like that, and you're going to create a brilliantly bright tornado of laughter with the sharp end right on that hard point inside of the chest. And when you inhale, it's like you're trying to drill into it, and it's like you punched into steel. So you're going to use that exhale to make that flower bloom open like a metal flower and drop the weight right out of the front. Okay?
Could you just repeat the first bathtub bit again?
Yes, sir. So the bathtub part, when you pull the plug on the bathtub, how the water swirls, that's what you're creating inside of you. So when you inhale, swirl the liquid, swirl the laughter, swirl the light, and put the sharp end right on top. And when you inhale, drill into it. Everybody else, I want you to start inhaling into the body with laughter and with light, and any place that feels uncomfortable or does not laugh, you're going to inhale into that spot with this smile tornado here. Just like that. Force that, what you have in there to blossom open, and use that to dig even deeper with the next exhalation or inhalation. Force that open. There you go. Drop the weight. Feel that draining. It's almost like it's turning into liquid. There you go. That was a good one. That was like 60% right there. Keep going. That laughter is the key here. Turn up that smile energy, that softness, that laughter. There you go. That's releasing the psoas muscles. That's getting the muscle memory to relax. That is a good one. Last one. Make it as strong as you can. And relax. Let it go. There you go. How's that feel there?
Feels like it's certainly working.
Now, do you see how you can start following it back to other places that are hurting?
Yeah, totally.
So the way that the body works is always highest priority first. And so you might have like 50 different things that need to be worked on, but if one of them is louder than any of the others, that's where you're going to feel it. And so when you go in and you clean that one out, then the next highest one is going to be the one that's obvious. And so you just want to keep working your way all the way back through until you get that completely and totally taken care of. No, because I want everybody to have practice with you with helping clean this out too. I think what we're going to do is we're going to put a pin in what you're doing right here. And if you want to just do more work on that while I'm talking to other people, have at it. But you've got some things that'll be really beneficial for other people to see when we're working on a group, on the people individually as a group. And you know, if you feel like cleaning it out, if they feel like starting to release, go ahead and do that. But if not, I think we're going to just move on from here and use you as a an example. Yeah, there's definitely quite a bit going on right here. I can show people how to open up meridians with you. I can show people how to tune into muscle tension. And there's a few things that are going on. So do you feel better right now? Is there anything that's like absolutely needing attention right now?
Oh, I feel the spleen in the heart, and something in the thyroid here. I think that might be the finger injury.
So yeah, I'm feeling there's specifically the ring and the pinky finger. These, so this is the triple heater meridian and the small intestine meridian right there. And that actually makes a lot of sense because the small intestine is a joy generator. That makes a lot of sense actually. Yeah, no, I don't want to do it right now. I want everybody to have a little bit more proficiency. That way, when I walk everybody through it, they can do it with me instead of just me doing it for you. So let's go ahead and mute you real quick here. Now, who have we not brought on for this here? I think he was actually the first one. Elizabeth, how are you feeling there?
My ears are ringing and my outer body got very cold.
So by your outer body, you mean the flesh that's underneath the skin?
Mm-hmm.
So what's happening right there is when you actually have blockage inside of the musculature, it gets tight, it holds on, and you'll end up with places that are kind of sludgy and you don't have clean blood flow or lymphatic flow through them. And when you release the muscular tension, your natural flow through the body, it actually starts to get these things to move. And drink plenty of water today. There's a lot of lymphatic stagnancy and toxicity that gets released with that. But it's really easy to flush out of the body. You might feel a little bit nauseous or maybe have a slight headache or something like that after this. But what's happening is you're opening up everything that was shut off, that was closed down. And so you can actually heat that up. You can make the heat apply inside of your body. And since you have a very clear perspective of almost like this cold glove around your inner core, what I want you to do is inhale from the inner core and fire it. Make it be like bubbling, hot, steamy, moving magma, and inhale it all the way out to the skin. And on the exhale, steam yourself out. Just like that. Turn that up. Make that stronger. See, there it is. Do you feel how it's starting to change the temperature? It's almost like there was a bit of a heat flush there, wasn't there? Now, what I want you to do you feel how you're opening up the core, the chest, and the abdomen, but like the legs are still cold?
I've got blockage of the energy down, especially on my right leg.
Yeah, the right leg specifically on the shin is where I'm seeing that standing out. Go ahead and inhale that smile tornado. Turn that smile tornado up as loud as you can with the laughter and the light, and inhale it straight down the front of that shin muscle into the top of the foot.
That's hard.
Now, that's exactly what I want you to look at right there. Do you see how it's resisting the movement? It's almost like as you inhale into it, it squirts off to the side, right?
Wow, I can't even, it's like, wow. It's
So
like magnets when you try to make
When
them.
you try to force them together, it shoots away, doesn't it? So what you're going to want to do is make your tornado stronger and sharper and spin it even faster and force it right down through the center of that resistance.
Sorry, this is making me laugh. Oh, I can't even suck air in my lungs. It feels a million miles away from me.
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh. I cannot connect to this. You know, I think somebody chopped my whole leg off, and I've really...
Well, if you feel like somebody chopped your whole leg off, what I want you to do is inhale around your body, which your leg is in there. And then what I want you to feel is, where's your leg at? Ring the bell and feel it echoing back to you, and just pull your leg back in. There you go. See how that's changing in your foot right there? So I would agree. It was almost like your leg was further away from you. And right now you're feeling those connections starting to open up. Inhale through that. There it goes. There you go. Start releasing all that heaviness in the quad and the knee right down the front of the shin. That unhooked from your abdomen there too. Feel the gravity pulling even harder. Almost like it's sucking this stuff out. There you go. Now that's opening up blood flow. How's that feel there, Elizabeth?
There's something like, you know, when you want a bone wants to pop back in the sacrum. I'm feeling that.
So what you're feeling right there is as you're releasing that muscle tension, it's actually the adductor, the whole inside of the leg. That muscle runs from the panty line all the way down into the knee right there. And when that pulls, it's almost like it's trying to yank your legs together, and it just pulls everything out of alignment. And so that pinches off the blood flow, it pinches off the nerve flow, and it pinches off the lymphatic flow inside of the leg. And that was that distance feeling. It was like it was so far away from what you were consciously trying to connect into. And so by pulling that back in, you were saying, hey, this isn't supposed to be so far away. And your body says, well, why is it? Okay, well, let's dissolve that. And that was that feeling of reconnection. And now what you're doing is you're opening up and releasing the muscle memory, and the psoas muscle connects on the back side of the sacrum. So if this is the back of somebody's hips right here, these muscles reach in and they connect on the front side, and then they pull forward like that. And so what you just did is you got it to release and let go. Make sense?
Yeah, my hips have always been torqued.
And that actually, your hips aren't torqued. Your muscles are pulling your hips out of alignment. That's it. So stop claiming that. Just say my muscles are tight.
Right.
Now, how does that feel though? How's that all feeling for the leg and the hip now?
That feels better.
Now go ahead and inhale into both legs and tell me if they equal out. Or do they feel the same?
The energy feels good in both legs.
Good. So there's definitely some other stuff that we can tune into that you haven't found yet. So I think we're going to just move on and save this for when we have the group session together and start really cleaning these things out. That way you guys get a hands-on feeling for them.
Right.
The thing about this work is if there's nothing to clean out, then there's nothing to clean out. I mean, you can go through the movement, you can go through the theory, but until you run into that resistance that says, no, I'm staying right here, and you're building up that pressure and saying, no, you're not. I'm going through that. This is my place. This is my area. You don't understand how to build up that pressure. You know, you have to experience it. You have to recognize that this isn't moving, so I have to make it move, you know. And it's not like a physical strength, it's a mental, it's a an emotional, an energetic clamping, a clenching, a movement. It's understanding where you're at. And it's like pushing without pushing. It's moving without movement. And until you have something there to actually push against, you don't really have anything to practice with. So that's what's so fun about these classes, is not only are we working on cleaning each other out, you know, we're kind of experimenting so that the next time you feel something similar that happens either, you know, with somebody that you're working on, you have a frame of reference like, oh, that was similar to that person when we cleaned that out. Or you might even notice something blocked up inside of yourself that is similar to what you saw in other people. Because when we work on ourselves, it's really easy to be blind. It's really easy to ignore and not pay attention, just simply because what we think might be normal, we've been with for so long that it actually does feel normal, even though it's completely and totally unnatural. And that's where, when you work with other people, you can start seeing these unnatural things that they might not even recognize, and then you start to decode it. You feel it. You recognize why it's there, what it's there for. Then you clean it out, and then you see what happens. You know, all of a sudden that turns on. They're feeling pain relief here. They're having a lot more energy flow there. And you just put two and two together. So it's like, hey, I don't have energy flow here. When I turn that on for them, that's what happened, and they turned on. So let's go put energy there. And you just, you know, cause and effect. You play around with it. It's like like playing a game of figure out the rules, and we don't know what the rules are, and we just have to cause an effect and play around with it and see what happens.
Okay.
Good stuff, Elizabeth. You are very welcome. Let's get you muted here. Floretta, can you hear me?
Yes.
How are you feeling?
I feel good. I really moved this block in my right shoulder, and then it went on into my spine and kind of went through every vertebrae. But I realized, when I'm going into joy, there's something, I just can't fully embrace that joy. And when you said, the small intestine is the joy generator, and I have small intestine issues, I went, oh gosh, that makes a lot of sense. So I really started getting into generating that joy and really feeling it. And that seemed to really amp stuff up. And so so I found it really, that was a key thing for me to really work on feeling the joy.
Good. And that's the key right there. A lot of the blockage, almost 100% of the blockage, it can be released with powerful emotions. And it's just emotions that we enjoy feeling. And it's literally as simple as that. It's like, I like this and I don't like this. So I'm going to focus on that until it gets so big that it washes this away. And then it has no choice. It's like turning on a light inside of a dark room. And by focusing on those things and recognizing, like, I can't feel this as intensely as I want to, and then focusing on turning up the volume dial, it's something that it raises each day a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more until it breaks through. And when you just simply have that understanding of like, oh, I need to focus here, because that starts generating that emotion right there. That's the benefit of having somebody like me who's already walked through these pathways. And I recognize how convoluted they get, and I recognize how easy it is to get lost. But when you start recognizing that this equals that, and you've done it so many times that you've seen it hundreds of times in effect, it's really easy to then start tuning into it. And but it's all about just playing around with your own sensation. And so I might be able to give you a lot of tips and tricks and hints that will allow you to really release and open up inside of your body on a much more effective level, but I'm not you. And so you might actually be able to find ways that are even stronger for your own release, for your own movement, that aren't, like I can inspire you into those techniques, but they might be completely and totally different. And that's what you want to do, is play around with it, because like what we're doing right here, this isn't the only or the right way to do it. Like there's no dogma here. Like this will take everything that you already know how to do, and now you can power it with tingling, laughter, and light and make it even stronger. And, because I'm not you, and we're different, and everybody has a different way of doing things. Everybody has a different persuasion. And, so play around with it, explore with it. And now that you have access to this language, start learning your dialect, start learning what your native language is, because it's probably not the same as mine. There's so many different types of people here. We just have to figure out and discover who we are.
Right. Now, would you mind just taking a look to see, is there something blocking in the middle of my stomach?
Yes. And it's not actually your stomach. It's the hepatic duct to your liver going to the small intestine specifically.
Okay.
So here, let's actually do a physical release on that. This is my rib cage. This is the solar plexus right here. And this is my right side. What you want to do is take a big, deep belly breath in while you've got your fingers right here underneath the ribs, because what we're going to do is push in and then scoop downwards, but it's all with the breath. So deep breath in. Exhale, push in until you feel it uncomfortable. No pain, though. Deep breath around the pressure. And then squeeze it down. And so, like, if you're looking at this from the side, let me do this side right here. I'm going in, and then I'm squeezing it all down. It's like I'm going into the organ, and I'm pushing everything in the organ down, right into the abdomen, right into the intestines. But it's on the right side here. Deep breath in. Push in. Deep breath around the pressure. Exhale and squeeze down. And that's how you really open up these hepatic ducts and you get things moving. And see, when you get the liver to start shifting and moving, notice how much the shoulders actually open up. Feel that there?
Yeah, yes.
Now, how's that feel? Go ahead and breathe through that.
Yeah, something moved for sure.
So it's not all energy. you know, and there's a lot of people who they try to come at everything with just energy. And yes, you can move a lot with just energy. You can move just a lot with, you know, only the body too. You can do some powerful things with just yoga. But if you take the energy and then the mind and the intelligence that says, this is what this is what that does, and then you apply it to physical movement and you couple them together, it's a mind, body, spirit trifecta. And suddenly your energy flows better because you just did something physical. And it's just, you know, plugging and playing and recognizing where you need to work. And what you were feeling there, that blockage, it didn't feel like like there was something hard and heavy. It was almost like it was indigestion, like a pressure, right?
Yes.
That's physical, you know? So just start paying attention to the effects of it and say, oh, like that was a physical sensation. It was like I had pressure inside of the organ and the organ was blowing up, and that's what I felt. So when I went in and I released the pressure, all of a sudden the energy went through no problem because the organ wasn't in distress anymore and putting out stagnant chi. And, you know, it's literally the name of the game, mind, body, and spirit. And if one doesn't work, don't just be the fly on the wall going after the same thing over and over and over again. Figure out a different way, you know, be malleable, be like water. And if there's a big, gigantic obstacle in front of you, learn how to phase through it, learn how to tunnel, learn how to jump really high, you know, whatever it might be, it doesn't matter. There's always millions and millions of ways to take care of one thing. It's only when we get stuck into thinking there's one thing, then we end up running into the wall. So.
Right. Okay. Good. Thank you.
Awesome. That was fun right there. Let's get you muted here. Yinan, how are you feeling here?
Very good. Hello.
I can't hear you. You're breaking up.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you somewhat.
Me now?
Somewhat. You might want to actually turn off your video so that you save a little bit of bandwidth and we're just hearing your voice. Let me see if I could do that for you. There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes, just a moment.
So this is something that happens sometimes with doing this energy work, is you affect the electromagnetic scale so much to a point where you can actually mess up your internet connection. So just to be warned, that can happen. I'm going to go ahead and try to ground out her connection real quick here.
Yes. Can you hear better?
I'm starting to hear you a little bit better. Hold on. There we go. That feels more open.
Can you hear me?
I can.
You cannot?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yay!
Yeah, I had to go ground out your connection. Even it's kind of hard to hear you. It's like, it's a lot softer, but we can hear you. So how are you feeling right now, Yinan?
I feel great.
Glad to hear about that. Yeah, I can hear you. I had to go ground out your connection. You blew out your internet connection. You're creating too many EMF radiation waves.
I tell you, when I have surgery, many times go to hospital, and few times the owner or doctor will take me aside, say, last time somebody like you blow up all the device. I was like, I do nothing. I come to be treated. So I know I might have that kind of tendency.
Yeah, well, and I mean, that's the thing. Like when you have a connection into those feelings, it's nothing more than just a feeling inside of yourself that's a little bit different flavor than what other people who don't create those waves and those radiations feel. And so like once you actually start being able to feel them, you can create them. And that's one of the expressions that as we start going deeper into the sensation, the mind, the body, and the spirit connects in together, that electromagnetic and that bioelectric activation, you create EMP waves that actually, it disrupts x-rays. Like I've had people trying to take x-rays of me and I was worried about the x-ray doing damage to me. And so I was making sure I was blocking it and they couldn't get anything through. Like they had no image whatsoever, you know. Wi-Fi, I blow Wi-Fi out all the time. I'll overload electronics on accident if I'm not paying attention. And when you're really getting into a very strong energetic connection and you're using Wi-Fi that's not directly wired into anything, we can actually blow those waves out so fast that it's interesting to see how it happens, you know, and all you have to do is just, so what I did is I inhaled through your connection. I inhaled through my computer right here in front of me into where you're supposed to be at. And it was like I went through your connection to see where it was. And then I dropped the weight out from underneath that. And there was like this very staticky, overloaded type of a sensation. And what I did is made a solid, strong connection in through that. And then all of a sudden we could hear you. And so that's one of the things that we can start doing. Like you can actually interact with electronics a lot more proficiently than most people actually think we can physically in a human body. And they give you a lot of confirmations, you know, and the more we play around with these confirmations, the more we see these little things happen that are affected by energy, the more we can actually trust our ability to do things in the physical. And now I can't levitate yet, but you better believe I'm working on it because I know it's possible. And the more confidence I have in the energy world, the more confidence I'll have, you know, levitating. And eventually I'll be strong enough to do it. And so I will.
Yes.
Good stuff. So now that smile energy, you were doing some really interesting stuff over there. So like I said, your energy is a lot more crystalline and a lot more like a flower type of an essence now than I remember the last time I met you at the Sweat. But what's going on right now is when you were creating those waves, it was almost like your flower, this blooming sensation that was opening like towards the top. It was like it turned into a sun or a star, and all of a sudden I felt things moving off in every direction. What were you doing? Like what did you notice with that?
I try to make it short, simple. First, when you help the gentleman cow, and you give him a reading about his time in Cuban, I say, oh, I wish you can see the thing of my left, the pelvis, because they disappear many times and come back. Disappear. There were times I can kick my leg like a professional when I was before. Then they come back. I say, why you come back? Did I not get your message, or why you keep on coming back? Then when you say the smiling volcano, so I was talking to that part. I say, if you have if you have some message, I did not get it, you can tell Eric, he will tell me. But if you don't, I'm going to make you really laugh. So I turn all the vortex of laughter, smiling. Then my hip socket turned into a crystal cave. They are like a crystal mine, and I saw like tunnel of the crystal. So I just go in. The blackage part I could not see why it's there. I did not put
there's very interesting sensations that I'm tuning into. It's like I'm catching very brief glimpses and flashes of past life energy, but I think you clean most of it out. So I'm going to go in and clean out the residue of what I'm feeling here. And it feels like a dense crystalline energy. This is really interesting. So I'm going to replicate this crystalline energy. I'm going to surround it, and I'm going to start turning up the vibration with laughter and with light, making it stronger and more intense. There we go. How's that feel there, Starlight?
Yeah, I feel lighter. When you say first, you say the dense crystal energy, I thought about the movie Dark Crystal.
Yeah, it was a very similar look. Yeah.
Yes, and we have to heal the dark crystal. And when I heal that, the meditation, I pick up certain part of the goddess energy wounded, because when we make love with somebody you love, and sometimes you feel that love was polluted or something altered. I think that also have something to do with the hip socket, the pelvis, because feel it's not as pure as virgin. And I also heal that as humanity, because guys have their own thing. That's why they got prostate cancer, because everybody want to perfect love. And the perfect love is not from the love, it's from our God, from inside our heart. You know, so I just laugh about this, like have a light review about humanity, say, oh, you got that wounded, ha ha ha. just I'm not laughing at it. I laugh with my wound.
Yeah.
And I think that makes sense. And I say, if you have more message, come back. I love you. You don't, go enjoy. Go back to the source. Come back something beautiful. So when you say the dark crystal, I think that was carry something opposite than the crystal of light. But that which we all is our power, how we deal with it and transmute it.
Very interesting. So what I felt right there, as I was surrounding that and I was turning the resonance of that crystalline field up, it was like that darkness, that heaviness. It started to turn into it felt very bubbly. It was almost like a crystalline, shiny bells. It reminded me of like a wind chimes or something along that line right there. And as you're talking, there's other aspects of that that's releasing, specifically in the bottom of your left foot. I'm feeling a lot releasing right there, but this is going all the way up into your shoulder, into the back of your head. There's quite a bit that's letting go and starting to move right now. And it's not like it's even releasing. It's like it's turning into something much cleaner right inside of the area where it's at. And it's like the framework, the whole entire system is starting to transmute into light right now. That's really interesting stuff. See, now, normally when I connect into these past life connections, there's a dense heaviness or there's something that is obvious to tune into. And like this one, it's like I just keep on catching glimpses and flashes of it. And there's so many of them that keep popping through here. I'm seeing specifically there's a very fairy-like lifetime. I'm seeing you like only about this big and your body's all light. And you live in a absolutely gorgeous meadow with bluebell flowers, and there's these purple ones that are there too. And I'm just seeing this pristine excitement and joy from living in this place and existing in this place. And this is echoing through more than anything now. And normally when you tune into past life connections, it's the stuff that causes damage that is the most obvious. That's the highest priority. And it's like right now I'm tuning into your highest priority. The one that I can see is this fairy lifetime with all these plants and these pine trees and these beautiful flowers and grass. And it's a really interesting lifetime. I don't think I've ever tuned into anything quite like it, but it's coming through stronger than just about anything right now. And, that's the purpose of what we're doing a lot of these things for, is we're cleaning out those dense places that keep us from tapping into the gifts of who we are and where we came from before. And that crystalline energy, that makes a lot more sense now. It's very fairy-like. It's very, very pixie-like. And there's a lot of excitement and bubbly joy and almost like a mischievousness to it. Like, like love playing lighthearted pranks on people, that type of a thing. And it's a very beautiful lifetime. How are you feeling? What's going on with the hip and the leg right now?
It's very light and it's so powerful because I live in a meadow like that now. Yeah. And the other day I bought all kind of purple and the lavender and the ultraviolet blue flower to cover all the grass and my studio. So when you say it, it's so right on, like I'm creating a soul.
Oh, wow. It's like you're tuning into it and you know what you want to create. Yes. And you're tapping into the same thing. I'm not going to be surprised if you actually start feeling fairy type of creatures inside of your meadow, especially once you get these flowers going and you start really going and enjoying the meadow in the way that you used to in that last lifetime. I wouldn't be surprised if you start getting some balls of light that start visiting you.
Yes, so that's why I make fairy houses.
Yeah, we've got that, the one that you gave me, we've got that hanging up in the living room right now.
Yeah, the fairies live there.
Yeah, the kids love it.
Yeah, thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, so I think what we're going to do now is I'm not really feeling anything that stands out that we need to cover immediately. I think what I want to do is start getting into this point to where we can work on each other remotely. And so before we head into this, is there any questions? Is there anything anybody wanted to say or cover before we head into actually working on each other?
Okay.
Oh, go ahead, Elizabeth.
Can we just have a very short break?
Yes.
I mean, I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, let's just call it 5-minute bathroom break, everybody. All right. So we'll come back. If there's any more questions before we get started, just, we'll field those then. I'm going to go to the bathroom myself here. Be back in a second. All right. Do we have everybody back? Looks like Cal's back there. I don't know if Yinen's turning on her camera again. Floretta says she's got to leave in 25 minutes, so we're definitely going to make sure that we get work on her. I kind of wanted to start off with Cal, specifically because he's got some heavier blockages that it's going to make him a lot easier to move the energy around to do the work once we get him cleaned out too. So I think we're going to go with Cal first, and then we're going to get Floretta next. Now, Yinen, are you here?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can. Okay, perfect. So we're going to get everybody muted real quick here, and I'm going to bring Cal up on the spotlight video. All right. Can you hear me, Cal?
Yep.
Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start connecting into Cal specifically. Now, the way that we do this is what I want you to do is just look at your monitor. Mine's over here. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at Cal right now, and I'm putting my hands up in front of me, and I want you to inhale into your hands, through the arms, into the palms, and blossom the palms open like they're flowers. And move as much laughter, move as much light as you can, and just look at Cal right here. And on the exhale, start pushing the light through to him. And what you're going to want to do is surround Cal with a nice bright cloud of light. Now, Cal, as we're doing this, if you feel anything happening, just let us know.
Yeah, I feel it.
It's like
feel like I'm
immediately there's a lot more on the outside, more buzzing, correct?
yeah, I feel almost like a shield around me and almost rocking a little bit.
Very good. Now what we're going to do with this, I want everybody to inhale directly up above Cal's head and create an incredibly bright point of light and laughter. And then on the exhale, shine that down through the top of his head and start moving this light, this star, all the way to his feet. And pay attention as you're going through for anything that's heavy, anything that refuses to move, refuses to laugh, or is dark. And open up the gravity underneath Cal, feeling the earth actively pulling through everything that you're kicking loose. And if you wanted to, feel the gravity of the sun up above him. Feel the gravity of the sun pulling things out of him too. Right there, you guys are starting to move some dense energy inside of his spine. Use that smile tornado, light it up. Feel that laughter get even more intense. And on the exhale, feel him blossom open and drop it out of his body for him. Same exact process you did for you, just on the outside for somebody else. Beautiful. That right there. How's that feeling, Cal?
I feel my right side, on the right side of my head as well, sort of sliding a little.
It's almost like there's something heavy in there that's starting to shift and move, correct?
Yeah.
Now what I want you to do, help us out from the inside. Inhale into your heart space and light it up like the sun with laughter. And on the exhale, feel that sliding sensation starting to sink down through the body and drop out of the foot into the earth. Everybody else, turn this up. Feel those places not moving and press against them. Push without physically pushing. Flex your will. Turn it up and start drilling into the center, carrying laughter, light, and transmute anything that won't move from the inside out. Beautiful. That was a really good one. How's that feeling there, Cal?
It feels like my crown is trying to break something off top.
Yes, sir. So what's happening right here is that central channel flow from the crown down to the perineum is starting to open. This is actually where that toroidal field comes from. It goes up the perineum all the way out the top of the head and blossoms down and around the body. So what I want everybody to do, take your hands and light up his thighs and make this as bright and as full of laughter as you can, and get everything, the front, the back, the left, the right, until it pops out his body, 3 or 4 inches on either side, and slowly pull this up, turning on that central channel from the root all the way out the top of his head, and bloom his auric field like a massive flower. Very good. What are you noticing with that one, Cal?
Should I allow my body to tense, or should I not?
Always want to be relaxing. Relaxation is the highest order right now. What are you feeling getting tense?
My neck and my head.
So where specifically in the neck and the head?
The back of the neck, back of the head, sort of down to the C6, C7.
Okay. So pretty much the whole entire back of the skull and all the way down to the top of the shoulders.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I want everybody to do, lay him face down on a massage table and place your hand over top of his sacrum, right up above the tailbone, and your other hand on the back of his heart space. And what we're going to do is we're going to light up the tailbone and start pushing energy up the spine. And at the same time, you're going to use the other hand to pull it and push it all the way up through the head. And it's like you're creating a flow of water that breaks through and lights up the brain and then flushes through the forehead all the way down the front side. It's like you're turning on a big loop inside of him, up the spine, over the top of the head, and down the front to go back around the pelvis and up the spine, down the front. There it is. How's that feeling, Cal?
Yeah, it's getting lighter.
Very good. So this flow right here, help us out with this. Pretend like you've got a smiling mouth right at the tip of your tailbone, and inhale that smile tornado right up into the top of your head, blazing like the sun. Exhale and drain that liquid right down the front of the body An exhale that relaxes and flushes through. To inhale back up the spine, light up the head at the top. Exhale down the front, light up the pelvis at the bottom. Very good. See that right there? Do you feel how you're having hard places in the stomach breaking loose right now?
I don't in the stomach, no. I know it's in my ear, my right ear especially.
So that more than anything is lymphatic. So let's go ahead and actually stop on the energy here. We want to start focusing on something different now. So what we've been doing, it's not working, and we need to switch directions. And so the lymphatics, that thymus right in the top of the chest, what we can do is actually physically pump this with energy. I want you to light up your hands as bright as the sun, feeling that little children laughter echoing on and around. Blossoming them open, making this strong, and gently reach forward through Cal's chest. And if you want to, reach through his spine on the backside and wrap your hands, wrap your energy around this thymus and just gently squeeze and release. Let it fill back up, feeling it expand in your hand, and squeeze. And as you're doing this, feel how this forces movement through the abdomen, through the pelvis, the head, the face, the neck, the shoulders. Get this all moving here. See, this is really opening up on a very clean level. It's making me able to see the vertebrae nice and clean. So Cal, C6, this is too far forward. And so if you have your T1 vertebrae, it's like your C6 is too far forward. It's supposed to be back here. It slipped like that. What I'm going to do, pay attention to this. I'm going to press backwards and start rocking this back and forth until we get this to release and click into place. There we go. How's that feel?
Didn't notice anything yet.
That actually is really surprising. So are you noticing anything at all with the lymphatic movement?
There's a lot going on, to be honest.
A little bit too much to tune into right now?
My right, it feels less energy on top of the head. Actually, my neck has stopped aching. It's my right hip and my right knee and right ankle is sort of buzzing about, distracted.
So this is the ones that I was trying to clean out earlier. So the gallbladder meridian, this is the one that Chatterbrain implant gets put into in the temple right here. And so let's actually open up Cal's gallbladder meridians for him. And the way that this works is you're going to put one hand right here where it starts, and this is what you're going to inhale into. So you're going to inhale into this, and on the exhale, push it all the way through. And this goes through the back of the head, down through the side of the body and the gallbladder, and then down the entire outside of the leg and out the pinky toe. There it goes. Keep pushing. Keep feeling that weight dropping loose. And once you feel that side open up, go ahead and start focusing on the other side from the corner of the eye down to the pinky toe. And this is how you open meridians. It's super simple, super easy. You just have to know where they start and where they stop. There it goes. Now I'm seeing it's almost like you're pulling back into balance right now. How does that feel there, Cal?
Yeah, I'm feeling it.
Good. Okay, so I'm feeling the kidney meridians specifically need opening as well. These start right underneath the collarbones. And so if you are to look right here where my collarbones, the bumps are, they're underneath that and an inch to the right or an inch to the outside. And it's right in between the ribs right there. And these goes all the way into the center of the body and then straight down the center of the body through the kidneys and the backside. Then they go down the insides of the legs all the way into the ball of the foot and drop into the earth there. So go ahead and I like to do 2 at a time. If you feel like you're stronger with 1 at a time, just focus on 1 at a time. But what you want to do is inhale your hands and start pressing through that pathway, almost like it's a garden hose caked with mud. And it's all dried up and you're moving liquid through it. Right into the organ, filling the organ with light and laughter, and then spilling down through the inside of the leg and right out the instep, the ball of the foot. That looks so much better. That's opening up the vertebrae in the lower back. Let's get that to release. How's that feel there, Cal?
Yeah, it's feeling good.
Is there anything sore, tight, painful, anything standing out at all?
Well, in general,
Yeah, right now.
spleen.
Spleen. So the spleen meridian starts right here, and this is where both of them actually start. And so they split down to either side, and then they come down, and they connect into the toe right next to the pinky toe. And so what we're going to do is open this up in the spleen. If this is my solar plexus right here, gallbladder, stomach, liver, spleen, right here, outside.
Sorry, I've made a mistake then. I'm talking about here. I thought the spleen was here on the left side.
So that's the back side of the spleen. So that's still technically
okay.
spleen.
Okay.
No, you're good. So let's go ahead and start opening that up. Now, the emotion that gets clogged up in the stomach and the spleen, this is worry and anxiety. And this is why you can actually cause ulcers inside of your stomach if you worry too much. Just like the gallbladder and the liver, the anger, frustration, annoyance, so on and so forth. And so if you know what you're cleaning out, oftentimes it allows you to get a better catch on it. So try to find annoyance or worry. Try to find anxiety, that feeling of panic. There it goes. See, and that right there, I'm seeing a lot starting to open up inside of your body right now. How's that feel?
Yeah, I'm feeling something.
Is it releasing that pain?
It's more of a sensation. It's still there, but it's shifting.
Okay. So that shifting right there, I want you to inhale the smile tornado into that shifting. And I think this is more muscles than anything. I want you to inhale into the muscles that are in between the ribs and stretch everything apart, like you're trying to move your skin away from your bones, away from your muscles. And on the exhale, blossom that open and drop that weight. That looks a lot better. How's that feeling there, Cal?
Yeah, good.
Good stuff. All right, go ahead and fill your body with laughter and light. Tell me how strong that is now.
Yeah, it's like a big internal pressure. Like
Good.
want to internally implode.
Good. So this right here, this is more than enough to get you into, it's not strong enough. It's not where it needs to be, but you have more than enough to actually tune into and start to weightlift it, to make it stronger, to demand that sensation and to turn that up. And this is what you're going to really want to start doing. The work that you've been doing has been really powerful for you to get through the emotions of blockage in the moment. What this is going to do is start allowing you to find where the programs that are creating those blockages are even at, and then start to replace those. And the more that you play around with this, the stronger it's going to get. The stronger you are, the more aware you are. The more aware you are, the more you can do. The more you can do, the more you figure out. The more you figure out, the more magic everything is. You know, and it's literally just, you got to keep going every day. Even if it's just 5 minutes, it's more than enough to keep this open. And I've gone without doing energy work for, maybe 5, 6, 7 days in a row, and you don't feel the same afterwards. It's almost like the density of the earth starts to pull you back into it, and you get used to being light. You get used to being a balloon and floating and not having pain or dysfunction or emotional or mental stagnancy. And then as soon as you start falling back into it, it's very, very obvious. So pay attention to what's going on the inside and really just start looking at it like this. Either I like this or I don't. And if I don't like it, I'm taking responsibility for it and cleaning it out. Make sense?
Yeah, I've got 2 questions, but I'm just conscious of Floretta having to leave soon.
We can always come back to your questions when we're done with her if they're not too long.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right, perfect. So let's get you muted here. Let's get Floretta on real fast. And it's not giving me an option to unmute her. That is weird. Oh, there we go. All right, Floretta, can you hear me?
Yes.
How are you feeling right now?
I feel good. I feel good. I just have the sore right arm. Yeah, sore right arm, but I feel much lighter than when I started.
So how do you feel in relation to the work? Let me cancel Cal's spotlight video here real fast. How do you feel in relation to the work? Do you feel confident with that? Did you feel movement when we were working on Cal?
Oh, yes, very much so.
And it's
Felt
really
very
easy
confident.
to tune in, isn't it?
I was surprised with how I saw so much white light, and I could increase it and really, yeah, I really liked that. I loved it.
And it's just sensation. That's it. And it's feeling the density of the energy and just using such high vibratory emotions that it's really simple to find anything that's not moving. And that's the name of the game. It's very easy to do my job. It's just that you have to fine tune the focus, you know, and you have to know what you're looking at. You have to really have an understanding of where it's coming from. And that only comes with practice. And, you know, what you're using right now, you're no different than me. It's just that the only difference between you and me is I'm more practiced and I'm well traveled on this path. That's it. Right. And you got the doorway open, your feet are on the path too. And the longer you travel on it, you might even pass me up and then be able to teach me some stuff. So,
okay.
All right. So sore right arm. What I'm feeling specifically is the triple heater meridian. This one right here, this is actually temperature regulation, and it comes all the way up through the arm, and then it ends right about here, right next to the large intestine meridian. It ends specifically, oh wait, no, this one comes up over the ear, and it comes right here, and it ends next to the gallbladder meridian. And so what we're going to do is we're going to grab a hold of her ring finger right here, and we're going to put our other hand somewhere up on her shoulder, and it's almost like you're going to pass the energy through. You're going to build it up in the finger and push that all the way up at the same time. It's like you're trying to pull it with the other hand and move that all the way up into the face right here. And as you're doing that, it's going to be blocked up. It's going to be stagnant. Push it through and then hold on to the laughter, hold on to the light. And it's almost like it's going to stretch out and vibrate and then drop that weight from it. Make sure you get the other side too. You always want to balance the body out. No matter what you're doing on one side, even if the other side doesn't hurt or doesn't have dysfunction, you want to make sure you even it out. Very good. So what are you feeling there, Floretta? What's happening with the arm?
It's moving. It's lifting up. It's lifting up.
It's almost like there's a heavy thing that's causing the muscles to be tight that's getting pulled out and it's sliding, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's the way dense energy feels when it's leaving the body. And so what I want you to do, you guys, if you're seeing this right here, you might just be working on the meridian, but you're pushing heaviness out of the meridian, and it's more up in the shoulder and the neck area. It's kind of like a tangle of like dense, wiry type of feelings, and it's connected into the arm down into the meridian. If you can, grab a hold of this and ever so gently just start pulling it out like you're trying to pull a weed out of the dirt. You don't want to leave any roots in there, so you pull it gently in circles, up, down, but always backwards until it pops loose. Just like that. Keep going. Keep pulling. Feel the gravity of the sun. See the light of the sun up above her and toss that right into that gravity and feel it suck right out of her neck. There it goes. How's that feel, Floretta?
Yeah, I feel like I'm going out the top of my head. It's back of my neck and out the top of my head. It was very cool.
Now go ahead and inhale laughter and light into that place where it was stuck and fill up that empty space. Very good. So this was actually an implant right here, and this was designed, there was a very specific trigger. I feel a sadness. There's like a depressive feeling, and as soon as you feel that, it's almost like it kicks in the energetic weight, and then it drops everything. So like when you feel sadness happen, it takes over and it wrecks everything for like 3 or 4 days, doesn't it?
Yes.
So that was that implant that was happening right there. And implants are literally nothing more than concentrated energy with a very specific resonance and a very specific pattern. Meaning if the dark side can do it, we can do it for light too, you know? Yes. So if you've got something in there that was creating darkness, what you're going to want to do is then create a positive implant that it creates a feeling of upliftment whenever you feel that depressive kick. Right. And instead of the program, when you start feeling sadness happen and then all of a sudden everything just and pulls down, it's going to be an upliftment of, well, why am I going to go that direction? I know what that feels like. I don't like that. Let's go this way.
Right. Great.
That'll be really helpful there. Is there anything else standing out?
No, just there's just more moving in that right shoulder. It's moving. Like it just keeps moving, rotating.
So you're having the energy starting to flow through the meridians there, but there's also muscle memory that's tight. So specifically, I'm feeling the muscle on the front side of the shoulder blade. Like if you were to take your hand and press right back into the armpit and then touch the front of the shoulder blade, that muscle right there is going to be nice and sore for you.
Yeah.
What I want you to do is relax your arm down, press into that, and inhale into that muscle while you lift this up over your head, and feel how that stretches all the muscles and start making that go in circles there.
Oh, that's sore. Wow.
Yeah. Now, if you get to actual full-blown pain, just back off on the pressure a little bit. You want it to be uncomfortable, the therapeutic release, but full-blown pain, you're doing damage. Then go ahead and kind of rotate that, shake it out, let it sit still, see how that feels.
Yeah, good. It's now there's like a real pain in the left side of my neck.
Okay. So this is your body working on the highest priority level. So what's happening is these muscles right here that hook behind the ear and come down into the first, second, and the third rib, they're trying to crank your shoulder up into your ear right there. What you're going to want to do is inhale and exhale and stretch those muscles out and just feel that hang right there and start inhaling and releasing that. And everybody else, what I want you to do, these muscles connect behind the ear and into the first, second, and third rib on the top side behind the collarbone. Reach in, grab those places, and start to pull them apart, shaking the bones loose. Just like that. Now you feel how it's almost like your shoulder blade's getting tight now?
Yeah.
See, this is the spot that's hanging on. So it's like the bottom was pulling down while the top was pulling up, and you release this side of the tug of war, and that side's pulling down now. Make sense?
Yes.
Lift your arm up. Stretch that out. Get both sides and really just feel how that gets everything from the armpit all the way down into the hips there.
Yeah, nice.
Go ahead and shake that out. How's that feeling?
Great.
All right. So do you have anything else that's standing out, or is that the last one?
I think that's the last one.
Perfect. So you're going to want to be working on those again. So when you get the recording, just kind of go through and see where your muscle places were stuck. That way, because you're probably not going to feel them after this, so you're not going to know that that was where it was stuck. But you're going to want to do this 5 or 6 more times to really cement into the muscle memory, like knock it off. I don't like that there.
Yes.
And since there's nothing else that's popping up for her, what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick once over. Hey, you're just forgetting. This is fun. All right, now go ahead and pull that sun right down through the top of her head and make it big. Make it spread out so it reaches 3 or 4 inches outside of her body as well. And gently pull that down and through. And anything that's tight, anything that's resisting movement, just gently force your way through with laughter, with light, with softness. And expand it open and drop the weight underneath her. Feel the sun pulling the weight from above her. Beautiful. Just lost like another 10 pounds there, didn't you? You feel how bubbly that is?
Yes.
This is the lack of etheric weight. This is the precursors to actual levitation. And I haven't figured it out yet, but I can get myself to the place to where I feel like I'm weightless, and it's only a matter of time until that actually transitions. So, this is the raising your vibration. People talk about it all the time, but nobody actually has concrete instructions on how to do it. It's literally not feeling bad, because then you feel light. That's lifting your vibration. That's it. Ta-da!
Wow. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
You are very welcome. Yeah, this group is, there's definitely a lot of energy flowing through here.
Yes.
All right.
Is there a time limit on the recording?
No, the recording, it goes on for as long as it takes. And I'll have this uploaded to my YouTube channel. So it's going to be unlisted video, meaning that you can't go to my YouTube channel and just find it. You have to have the link for it.
All right.
Okay.
God bless you.
God bless you. Are you taking off right now?
Yes, I have to go now. Yes.
All right.
And God bless everyone.
An absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all.
Bye, Floretta.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Elizabeth, you are next. Can you hear me? It looks like you're going to have to unmute yourself. It won't let me do it.
How's that?
Oh, there we go. Hi, how are you feeling?
Good.
So what did you notice with the energy work for the other people?
I feel everybody.
Good. And
I was always the youngest of 5 girls, and I always connect to everybody how they're feeling. So it's great.
That's actually a really powerful empathic technique that you could really, I guess you could say, train. You know, you can turn that up.
I'm having a very strong deja vu right now.
So you're remembering the future. You're breaking through time right now. This is what we were talking about with Starlight earlier, about how you can start remembering the future. It's because it's all timeless. And as you're breaking through these levels right here, it's you know, you've been here before because it's now. And it's always now.
You know, in the last few days I look at, and, you know, I'm sober. I can tell my clock is always a half an hour later. And then when I look at it again, it's the correct time. It's done that to me twice. And I used to be a pie baker for many years, and I had this angel with a pie in her hand that somebody gave me years ago, and I love it. It fell into the sink, and I heard it break, and her arms are gone, the pie's gone, and I cannot find the pie in the hands.
Oh, wow.
If you knew me, you would it's like, it's gone.
Yeah, so stuff like that, it's happening a lot more. My most recent one,
disarmed.
Well, disarmed. My most recent one was actually a sponge. I was trying to wash the dishes, and I went over to the sink, and I looked around for this sponge for almost 10 minutes. And I was talking to my friend with me, and so we were having a conversation while I was looking for this. And then, like, after about 10 minutes, he goes, "What are you looking for?" And I was like, "I'm looking for the sponge." And so he helped me look for it. And so there weren't any dishes in the sink when we did this except for one bowl. And I'd already moved it. And so we looked all over the kitchen. We couldn't find it. We were going to go out to the garage to get another one. And I went to look in the sink, and I washed a cup or something. I was rinsing something off or something like that. And the sponge was just sitting right there in the sink, plain as day. And I said, "Hey, Ren, come over here." And he looks in the sink and he says, "You're effing with me, man." I'm like, "Nope, totally not. You looked in there, right?" And he was like, "Yeah, I've looked in here a whole bunch of times. That was not there."
So what is that?
You know, it's the collision of time and space. You know, we're breaking the dark forces window of time. And when you step through the window of time and all these schisms and possibilities of parallel lifetimes, and you start dissolving those barriers and coming back into one person, into one time, into one place, what you end up doing is gaining mastery over time and space. And as you're deleting timelines, as you're integrating timelines in, as you're absorbing things in, we're going into one flow instead of all these billions of trillions of possibilities. And it's all going into this one ascension timeline. And as the energies on the planet crank up, as everything moves a lot faster, what ends up happening is not only are we more aware of it, we can start actually creating these fields and these resonances that are allowing some of the work that's even happening here. A lot of the work that I do, it wouldn't be possible even just 5 or 6 years ago, simply for the fact that the energy on the planet wasn't high enough to even maintain this level of frequency that we're using here. And what we're doing is, the more and more of us who clean ourselves out on this level, the more light that we're making for the light to anchor into, and the more that's coming through. With each wave, with each resonance from the galactic central sun, we're catching more and more of it, and it's getting brighter on the planet. And we're almost at the cascading effect right now, to where it's like we've been pushing rocks down the mountain a whole bunch of times, and nothing's turned into an avalanche yet, but it's starting. And once that avalanche starts, there's no stopping it, and that's what the dark forces are pushing so hard against. That's why there's so much control systems that are popping out right now on the physical levels. And it's specifically because they feel their control lessening, and they have to put in 10 times the amount of energy to get even just half of the amount of return for what they're used to getting. So it's a really interesting time that we're in right now. And you know, I just thank you guys so much for being here. You know, thank you so much for stepping up and doing this work with me, because it's heavy and I can't do it by myself. So thank you. Now, do you have anything standing out? Is there anything sore, painful, tight, uncomfortable?
Well, it feels like I've lost my neck. Like I remember my neck being lower. It just feels tight and drawn up. My throat's incredibly tight. And
so this feels like the same thing that was going on with your leg. It feels like it's not connected. So let's go through that real quick again. I want you to start pulling in laughter, pulling in light, and feel that around you, feeling that tingling, bubbling, and swirling around you, and make it as bright as you can. And so the technique that I use is, once people have a nice bright bubble, it's like I crystallize it and then I tap on it. And it's like I'm ringing a bell, and then I'm following the echo out into the universe, and anything that pings back like a sonar, that's pieces of the energy that I'm working with. And so I'm feeling one way up above. And so the way that we grab these is we just reach up, because again, time and space means nothing. And if it's 10 million miles away, you just make your arm 10 million miles long and start lighting this up like you're shining a light at this piece in the distance. Make it get clean, make it get bright, because we don't want to give anybody a piece of them back that has nasty junk in it. There we go. And now magnetically connect her into this piece out there and feel it starting to pull right back into its rightful space. Dissolve that barrier, feeling it click in. There we go. How's that feel there?
it felt like a heart, piece of the heart.
Mm-hmm. So when you have stuff inside of your neck, like this includes the voice box, this includes carotid arteries, jugular veins, nerves, voice box, thyroid, all kinds of different things are inside of the neck right here. And the thyroid in specific, like this one, when it gets thrown out of whack, it creates so much hormonal imbalance that, hyperthyroidism, it's the thing that people are always, whenever they have something on that level, they're always having issues in their body. And one of the first things that it affects is actually the heart. And so when you get that to realign, it's almost like you had something out of place up above, and then it tossed everything else off out of place down below it. And it's like as you turn that into alignment, that thing all kinds of chunks back into place, and then it's one solid pathway. You feel how even your sacrum is opening right now?
I feel it very strongly in my chest, in my heart.
Go ahead and inhale into that. Light it up like the sun. Make it laugh. See how strong it is now.
I feel that in my right leg too.
Uh-huh. See, you're moving things right now that you didn't even knew weren't moving before, right?
Is my thyroid okay?
So your thyroid was out of alignment energetically. Physically, what I'm seeing is it's almost like the left side is a bit shrunk and the right side is normal sized. And so what you're going to want to do, inhale into the left side and feel it blow up like a balloon. And you're going to want to inhale into both sides, but you're going to want to make the left side just as big as the right side here. And on the exhale, just blossom it open. And what we can do is we can feed energy up her spine and then through the back of her head, through the back of her throat, and give her plenty of energy for her to do this work inside. There it goes. How's that feel?
Good.
See how that's opening up more of the chest now too?
It feels good on my head too.
Mm-hmm. So when you have things that are tight inside of the neck right here, this is all your blood that goes to and from the brain. And so if you don't have, if you've got tension that's walling off the blood flow into the brain, you're actually diminishing a lot of the cognitive abilities and the hormonal function inside of the head that is the brain. It's a glorified on and off switch on the hormonal and electrochemical levels. And so what you just did right there by getting the neck to release by opening this up is you let go everything that's keeping the carotid and the jugular from opening up through into the brain there. Make sense?
Yep.
Good stuff. Is there anything else standing out here?
I just have been feeling really exhausted lately. I don't.
The thyroid will definitely help with that, but there's one way to really kind of turn up the awareness functions with the body, and that's to move your energy from the ground upwards. So what I want you to do is pretend like your feet have a mouth or a smiling nose, or a smiling mouth or a nose on them, and inhale everything from the front all the way up into the head. And do that 3 or 4 more times, and don't do anything on the exhale. Just let it stay there.
You mean hold my breath?
Don't hold the breath, just release it. Exhale. You're moving the energy up, and then you're going to exhale and move the energy back up again with the next inhale. See, there it is. You feel how it's not like you're getting energy, but it's almost like there's a calmness that's not being used for energy, right? Now the adrenals are turning on. So your adrenals have actually been, the only way I know how to call this is milking. They're just gently leaking adrenal material into the bloodstream. And that is starting to really relax. The left one is letting go. Let's work on the right one. So the right one's in the kidney meridian. Let's go ahead and open up her right kidney meridian, and then we'll go back to the left one. So right here, and this goes straight down the kidney on the back side underneath the rib cage there, and then down the inside of the leg and out the ball of the foot. And it's already open. You guys are getting really fast. Like, this is really fun to watch. What does that feel like there?
More of a balance.
Good. So that adrenal is really starting to relax now. And it's almost like I'm feeling a pressure building up underneath the belly button. Are you feeling anything in the lower dantian, the lower abdomen?
Just a presence.
It's like there's something there, right? Something taking up space. See, I'm not quite sure what frequency this is on. So what we're going to do is we're going to open the flow up her spine and all the way down the front. So you can help us out, Elizabeth, by inhaling up the spine, lighting up the head like the sun, exhaling down the front side, lighting up the pelvis. And let's just go ahead and move up the spine. Get this to all start shifting here. So I'm seeing a little blonde kid with like a 90s haircut. And like definitely a 90s kid. Did you lose anybody who was young?
In the 90s?
Yeah.
I have a nephew that was incarcerated, which was a big heartbreak. So I think I'm struggling internally with that.
Was he like a blonde, brown-haired kid with a long tail in the back?
He never had a ponytail.
Well, it's not like a ponytail. It was like a just longer hair in the back. Kind of reminds me almost mullet-like.
No.
So I don't know who this is, but this kid is definitely inside of this energy that I'm tuning into right now. And it's an interesting capsule of information. It's almost like I'm feeling like a missing child bulletin. It's like I see him on it's just posters or pictures. There's a bike riding. I don't know why this is connected to you here. What I do know, though, is that anything that slips over like this, more often than not, there's a genetic connection or a karmic connection. And I'm following this back through the genetics, and I'm feeling specifically your mother's side. There's something in the mother's genetics. It's within the past 2 generations. There's a loss, there's a trauma, there's something that happened. And it's echoing through, and it's almost like this kid, the feelings that were around the loss of this child, they connected into the same feeling. It's like they magnetically drew themselves to each other. What I'm doing is I'm gently separating all of this from the abdomen. Let's cleanse this energy and make it nice and bright, transmuting it. Let's send this back to whence it came. Let's follow this back and figure out what's happening here. Yeah, so I'm running into a family. There's 2 girls and the parents, and they're a lot older now. You know, this was in the early 90s. This was 93, 94. And I don't feel a physical, geographical location connection. I don't feel anything on that level. It feels like you had very specific emotions that were very similar to what this family was experiencing with that loss. Even though your nephew didn't disappear like this, he was still gone. You know, incarceration, it's the same type of a loss. All of a sudden that person's not there anymore. And I've almost got this to release. It's like there's a tension, there's a hardness in the intestines and inside the muscle wall here that is holding on to this. And I'm going to start dissolving that down and through. There it goes. How's that feel there, Elizabeth?
Well, it just emotionally, when you were talking about it, I connected in.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a lot going on with that. I would definitely go back and start reliving some of the memories of when your nephew was, you know, incarcerated, and start feeling the emotions that come up from that and start pinpointing those, because those are very, very powerful frozen bits of time that you can tune into and say, hey, there's obviously an emotion stuck here. And once you erupt that feeling inside of yourself, it's not going to be very fun, but that is where we have to really put our eyes on the prize and say, all right, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm going to keep on putting the smile in here until this dissolves, until this releases. And these aren't fun things to go through, but when they're done, it's night and day. You feel completely and totally different. The mind changes, the chemistry changes, your emotions change, your body, your physical body actually changes, and you feel so much better. And I highly, highly recommend that you go through at least 5 or 6 times and really try to dredge up as much of that emotion as you can and release that and let it go. Because yes, it's not easy when stuff like this happens. But at the same time, you know, you might be mad at somebody who's a total jerk in the world and who is always trying to get over on everybody. But that doesn't matter about them. You don't have to poison yourself over it, even if they're still a jerk. And that's the same thing that's going on right now. You definitely, it's a rough situation. Incarceration and losing a family member like that is never easy. And but the bottom line is that what you're doing by dwelling on this and not focusing on other things that you could create inside of this energy, you know, I'll tell you right now, as a kid who went to jail, if it wasn't for the fact that I was in jail and I wasn't able to continue doing my idiot stuff that I was doing, I would have never had a chance to sit down and actually think things over and recognize how bad I was screwing up. And I would have died by the time I was 20 if it wasn't for the fact that I ended up in jail. So, you know, it's there's always good in every situation, no matter what. And even if that situation is just to, you know, create a very solid example of what you never will accept in your life again, that's still a valuable lesson from it. And you know, these emotions, they don't serve anybody. They're not helping your nephew out by you damaging yourself on this level. And when we start recognizing it really starts making things a lot easier. It makes it so that we don't take these things into ourselves and then create the trauma that, again, gets passed down to the next generation of energy workers, the next generation in the genetics. And like you just want to take responsibility for yourself. And you're not your nephew. You can love your nephew, but you shouldn't damage yourself for him, because is that helping him? Not at all. You know? And that's where we want to be, is what can I do to help? And if what you're doing is damaging and suffering, for the sake of damage and suffering because somebody else is going through it, you're not helping them. What you're doing is, if anything, you're actually creating more energetic weight that they can feel, and then it's harder for them to get out of the energetic weight inside of a really hard place that it's not fun. You know, being incarcerated isn't an easy time, and it's really boring. You have nothing to do other than sit there and think and work out and become better than who you were the day before. And you know, it's these are just rough situations. It's never easy. It's never fun, but it doesn't benefit you to hurt yourself over it either. Does that all make sense?
Yes.
Good.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Now, how do you feel right now?
My gut kind of hurts. It's really emotional.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. You're definitely going to want to clean this out. This isn't something that you're going to want to just let do its thing. You're aware of it now. Start bringing that smile into that gut pain, into where it's hurting. This is that etheric fecal matter I was talking about. You know, this is all that junk that, like, once you know where it's at, now you have something that you can start working towards to release. And one foot in front of the other. And all you have to do is just keep going, and you'll be in the light before you know it. You're trudging through the darkness, trudging through the jungle for a little bit. It gets monotonous. It gets kind of boring, but all of a sudden you find yourself in this place on the outside of it. And you can't get there unless you keep going. So step up and really be on top of this, because this is your body and your energy, and this is your responsibility now. Okay?
Yep. My body is saying yes. It's really lighting up while you're saying that.
Yeah. Well, that's because I'm tapping into the energy, and your body's really tuning into it as well. And I'm kind of translating what your body's feeling right now too. So good stuff. All right. Let's get you muted here. Yinan, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can. How are you feeling right now?
I feel great.
I am glad to hear that. Is there anything standing out that you want us to work on?
Maybe you can take a look, because I basically really burst out. I love everybody in the group today. I think, Elizabeth, you are such a beautiful Queen Mother's energy. It's like you taking care of so many things, and I can see you really like tarot card, the Queen of Heart, Queen of Cup, and your table sometimes piled with some paper. It's other people's stuff. You just need to clean out. I feel the same with Florid, and I feel cow is I keep on seeing elk energy in cow. It's like such a beautiful, steady person. And sometimes we don't have a good side about ourselves, because we have a high expectation about our performance quality, and we did not reach that quality, and we carry unnecessary failure, or disappointment, frustrated energy. That just I want to share with everybody in the group. I just feel everybody is so royal. It's very powerful. Last time it's different energy. Everybody's a healer and shamanic. This time, everybody's leader and a good king, a good queen with a good heart, but suffer so much with other people's suffering. That's how I feel.
Thank you so much for bringing that up. Those are really beautiful points. I love that analogy of just having other people's paperwork on your desk. It's a very easy, powerful cleaning solution then, because then it's like, hey, this isn't mine. What's mine is mine, and what's yours is yours. And the whole thing about not living up to your own expectations, that right there, my goodness, that was just an absolute killer for me. That was one of the worst things that I had experienced in my life up until that point, because I knew what was possible, but I didn't have the abilities or the skills to back it up. And I had to start creating that. And when I would not be able to perform to the level that I knew was possible because I hadn't made myself strong enough to even get there on any level, not just the energy work, but when I was a martial artist, when I was fighting, when I was doing yoga, when I was building cabinets, when I was doing woodwork, whatever it might be, I knew that I could always do better every single time. And when I would fall short of my own expectations, it would absolutely it would wreck me on wanting to even do it anymore. And that was one of the biggest ones that I had in a program in myself. And thank you so much for bringing that up, because anytime that we can start actually like getting solutions for these types of things, and just putting it out there, you know, it might not even be you guys that this is going to help out right here. This might be somebody that you say this to later on, you know, 10 years down the road. But when you stop putting yourself on a pedestal and you look at yourself like a tree, suddenly everything starts to work better. Because when we look at trees, we're not telling the tree, hey, your branch is crooked, or hey, you grew in the wrong spot. We look at the tree and we say, oh my God, how beautiful, you know, and that right there, when we can look at a tree like that and start applying that to ourselves, like, oh my goodness, like, Eric, you screwed up. My goodness, you screwed up so hard. What did you learn? You know, and it's not, I screwed up, because yeah, I do screw up. I do screw up a lot. You know, I'm not like this perfect person everybody seems to think I am, but I learn from my mistakes, and I don't hold myself to this rigid standard that is superhuman. Yes, I can achieve superhuman levels of skill. Yes, I can achieve superhuman levels of productivity. But the bottom line is, if I don't feel excited to do that, then I'm just making myself do something I don't want to do. And so other people's expectations are what I ended up taking on, thinking that that is what I needed to be. And it wasn't until I dropped that and I started really exploring art for the sake of exploring art, not trying to do the best I possibly could, but doing what I felt my best was. And that right there, I started to appreciate myself so much more. And failures, I don't fail. Like I seriously don't fail. I either succeed or I learn. And I've learned a lot, you know, and that's all we ever can do. Like tripping and falling flat on your face in the mud, it's designed specifically to show you how to get up and keep going again. And eventually, the more you fall, you start turning it into a beautiful dance that people look at and they say, did you mean to do that, or were you falling? And it's like, oh, both.
Yes.
Good stuff. That was a great little segue. I love what you brought there. So now, Yinan, specifically with you, is there anything that you want us to work on? How's the hip doing right now?
I don't know. I don't feel pain. I feel very uplifted, very beautiful. I'm in a really beautiful place.
I can agree. I'm having a hard time finding density with you right now. So let's go ahead and just give her a once over, and we're going to actually start trying to play around with the gravity of the sun this time. So what I want everybody to do is inhale towards her, feeling that light pushing through. And we don't have a video to connect into, but we know who Yinan is. We've heard her. We know there's a consciousness on the other end of this. Push until you light it up. There we go. Now what I want you to do is feel the sun up above her. Feel how the gravity of the sun locks the earth into place. Much, much stronger than the gravity of the earth. And almost like you're inhaling from a brilliant golden pool. Inhale that flow all the way down to right to the top of Yinan's head. And then open this gravity tube up until it's like a vacuum tube. Let's just place this right up above her. And the way that we lock this in is we just say permanent. We feel it lock in. We just set that there, and then reach down below her and light up the earth. Feel Gaia consciousness underneath her feet. Just like we're inhaling from a brilliant green and blue pool, pull that information all the way up, right into her feet. And feel the effects of the energy, how it's pulling up above and how it's pushing up from below. And as that connects in, just watch it. Step back. Now that we've got the flow on the outside turned on, let's activate stuff on the inside. Reach your hands and place them gently on top of her chest. And inhale in front of the hands. And light up her heart space, feeling it blossom and bloom open for her as you're inhaling the laughter, inhaling the energy flow. There we go. Now gently close off the sun field. Feel how it opens up the top of her head. Gently close off the earth field and feel how the energy expands down below. Movement, stillness. Let's go ahead and open up the microcosmic orbit, that central channel flow, pulling up the spine, over the top of the head, and down the front. Feeling that weight dropping off on that exhale. Very good. All right, let's make one pass through here. Make a big ball of light, wider than Yinan, right up above her, about the size of like maybe a beach ball or like a gym yoga ball. Light this up with laughter, movement, and start bringing it down right through the top of the head, down through the throat and the chest, the abdomen, the hips, all the way down through into the legs, opening up, cleansing, cleaning, and anything that refuses to move, drop it right into the gravity of the earth. Beautiful. Nice and clean. How's that feeling there, Yinan?
Oh, bliss, total bliss. I just want to share this. Like 3 months ago, I think I met you 3 months ago. I was attracted to your organization called Unleashing Natural Humanity. I was like, I know natural humanity. I used to have that. Then I got stuck. I lost my magic. And now I feel so healed. Like, yes, this is natural humanity.
Yes, ma'am. This is exactly why we are unleashing natural humanity. Our natural space is so clean, it's so pure, it's so powerful and connected and aware that, you know, even people like me who I don't feel pain, I don't feel emotional instability, I don't have this density, I'm nowhere near close. Nowhere near. You know, and there's so many places to go, so much to step up into, to activate, to feel. And it's like a nonstop process that's always another level to open. But each level that you open, it's another level of bliss. It's another level of wonder, of ability, of awareness. And you can start really taking your human consciousness to the furthest levels of the alien universe as far out as it exists. Yes. And when we can do that, we can start encompassing everything. We can start really, truly experiencing reality in the way that the creation is meant to be experienced. You know, because we're all a little sliver, a little spark of the creator. And we are the creation that is experiencing itself. And that's what we're here to do, is experience. And the experiences that we've been having, these dense experiences, these aren't what we are supposed to be using to learn. This is all stuff that we've been through many, many times already. We know higher, we know better. And as we start to really clean these out on these levels, we start to turn into something that is much more than just what humankind is saying that it is. We are turning into a truly natural human. And I don't know what's there. I don't know what is going to become of this pathway. I don't know where it goes, but I do know that it feels right. It feels correct, and it nourishes my soul. And yes. That right there, that's more important than just about anything else I could ever be doing.
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome. All righty, let's get Yinan muted here. Now, we have one person who wasn't able to show up today. And so this is going to be an interesting energy session. And so for you in the future who's watching this right now, I'm sorry that you couldn't make it, but we've got our spot specifically for you right here, right now. And so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to inhale and start creating feelings of laughter, of love, of light, of movement inside of your body. And I want you to feel as we create this space right here. It's almost like a time capsule. This is a bubble that what you can do is step up inside of, and you can accept this energy work from the past, because there is no past, there is no future, there's only right now. And we're creating this space right here for you for healing. So whoever you are, I really wish you could have been here today to go through this with us, but we've still got your back. So everybody, what I want you to do is inhale into your hands. And what we're going to do is stand in a circle. And we've only got, there's just 4 of us right now. And so I want Cal, see everybody in the group. See Elizabeth, see Yinan, see me. The same with Yinan. See Cal, see Elizabeth, see me. Same with you, Elizabeth. And we're standing around a space in the center. And we don't know who this person is. But that doesn't matter, because just like we used the connections of the voice, of the face, to find these people, we can find this person. But we have to go through that initial aha, this is what I want to do, just like you guys did when you signed up for the class. There we go. And I want you to fill this space in between us with a human. Featureless, we can't see clothes, we can't see gender, we don't know who this is, but it doesn't matter. We love this person too. Inhale, create a big ball of light up above the head, filling it full of laughter and joy. And start bringing this down through the head, feeling the gravity dropping loose. Anything dense, anything sore, anything tight, letting go. And turn this up. Moving this ball of light down through the chest, down through the pelvis, right out through the legs. Start inhaling into the hands and pushing, surrounding this human in a bubble. Bigger, stronger, filled with light, filled with laughter. As we're doing this, set the caveat that this energy is here only for this person when they step up into it. Lock it into the future by being in the now. Meet this person in this future now. Turn this up, starting to move your hands as bright as the sun, moving waves of liquid laughter through the body from the head down through the feet, cleansing the neck, the shoulders, the chest, the arms, the elbows, the forearms, the hands, down through, almost like we're moving liquid all the way through the organs, through the bones, through the muscles and the skin, from head to toes and everything in between. There we go. Turn it up. Feel that gravity dropping out with the weight. Beautiful. So that was working into the future right there. And you guys did a really good job. And it's not as easy as working right here and right now, because you do have to move through time. And oftentimes it's funny. And often there is density inside of the timeline. So when we're working into the future, sometimes we can actually run into stagnant emotions that we are creating and building up. And so that's why sometimes it's hard to push through, to make it feel brighter, to make it feel stronger. But the bottom line is, it's just you tune into where they're at, wherever they're at, whether that's here right now or, you know, on the other side of the Andromedan galaxy 10,000 years ago. It doesn't really matter. It's all right here. It's all right now. And all you have to do is connect in. And if there's blockage in the way of that pathway to then, you just clean it out as you go through. Wherever it feels like it's not moving, tornado drill through it and move your way forward. And it's as simple as that. So That feels pretty clean right there. I don't have the ability to ask them if there's anything that we want that they want us to work on. But pretty much everything that is possible was done right there with anything that doesn't have conscious direct interaction. And so when they connect into this, they'll be able to really benefit a lot from that, as well as by going through the meditations, just like you guys did earlier. So that was quite a few things that we did today. We worked on opening up meridians. We worked on stretching open musculature. We worked on the foundations. We worked on energy work over distance. And more importantly, releasing trauma. And each of these classes, they're different. You know, we all go for the same basic things, but as people come in who have different issues, who have different blockages, we teach different things. And this was a really powerful class. Like, this was very on point to directly to where we needed to go. There was a lot of already work that had been done, a lot of pre-work, and you guys were just ready to let this stuff go. And as soon as you started figuring out these languages, it was just a translation of the sensation and turning that up, and then it was able to let go. And you all did absolutely excellent. Cal, there's definitely more work that needs to be done with you. You're a bit denser than everybody else, just specifically because of the body level. Those stretches that we went through earlier today, I want you to be doing those every day, at least 2 or 3 times a day, for probably, I'd say, about the next week and a half, 2 weeks or so. But the major difference with these stretches is now that you know how to move the laughter or move the light through the body, I want you to feel the stretch, just like we were doing at the beginning, but start pulling laughter, start pulling light into the musculature and inflating them like the balloons, like you did earlier, to release and let go. And that's going to open up a lot more of the muscle memory. That's going to release a lot of the tension patterns. It's going to get rid of a lot of the pain that's holding on to those emotional stagnancies. And that's going to calm the mind on an amazing level. So the more you can integrate the stretching into the body, the mind, and the spirit, that's going to be much, much more beneficial for you right there. I actually want you to get a hold of me in a week or two and just let me know what's going on with everything. And if we have to go into a little bit more in-depth type of a coaching through email, I will. Because again, you know, I like to leave people in a place to where they are proficient, to where they're comfortable with it. And I'm feeling you just kind of lagging a little bit behind. And that's not, you know, speaking like down on you or anything like that. It just means that there's blockage that you have to clean out. It's like some people have a little hill that they have to dig through, and some people have a bigger one. And oftentimes when you came in here to do some big work, you have a bigger hill to take care of. So, you know, have fun with it and enjoy it, because that's what it's all about. It's all about opening up that flow, that resonance, and that feeling inside of yourself. And once you feel that, you can turn that up as loud and as intense as you want, because it doesn't ever stop. It always goes higher. There's always another level, even if it's just a tiny millimeter above where you were. If you do that 10,000 times, you know, that's 10,000 millimeters. That's a lot of distance. And we breathe roughly 50 to 60,000 times a day. So, you know, every time is an opportunity. Every place is an opportunity. And you don't have to be on the internet with somebody walking you through this in order to do this. You don't have to have a robe or, you know, chakra bells or your own music or anything. You can do this anytime, anywhere, anywhen. You just have to be conscious, breathing, and focusing. That's it. So we do that all the time. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to unmute everybody. If you guys have any questions, if there's anything that you wanted to cover here, just go ahead and let me know.
Can I, do I have something in my right ear? It's like my body's trying to push something out, and I've seen.
So this is more lymphatics than anything that I'm seeing right here. So let's actually do this real quick. So this pathway behind your TMJ, this is the TMJ. If you open and close your jaw, you'll feel it move right there, and that's the hinge. If you go right behind that and underneath and press in all down this way, how does that feel? Is that sore?
Yeah, especially the jaw and up to here, sort of, in that hinge.
Okay. So your TMJ is what's actually blocking this out. Does your jaw click or pop when you chew down?
No, but I think it's from grinding teeth when I was young.
So let's actually open up your TMJ then. What I want you to do, that hole right there that opens when you open your mouth, just put your fingers right inside of that, and you're going to want to close your jaw, but be very, very careful and very, very slow with this, because you can really, really hurt yourself when things are tight like that if you take it too hard. So just press into it and then slowly close the jaw like this. And if you feel one side trying to pop out, push it back in and keep it in alignment. I had a really big adjustment right here on the right side of my jaw with that one. Start opening and closing while you're doing that too. And if you can, go side to side.
Okay, cool. I'll carry on with that. Feels like there's quite a bit. And the other question was, do I have an entity attachment in my heart?
So I didn't see anything that was connected into you once we got everything released. There was definitely a parasite that was inside of your chest, but once we got the that anger emotion to start releasing and flushing through, you were actually cleaning out everything that it was anchoring into. Right. Oh, and the other thing I actually didn't explain to you guys, density. It's like metal or it's like wood. It's trying to drag down. And then high vibrations, they're like gas that's trying to move up, or liquid that's trying to move upward. And so when you start creating high vibratory upward lifting emotions, what it does is anything that can't move, that's stuck inside a density, if it's locked into you and you lift up, it's going to pull it into a much higher vibration too. Then it's super easy to pull off because it doesn't have the rooting that it's hooked into. It's almost like we just clean the dirt out from underneath a bush and then we can just pick the bush up. And so that was actually one of the dense things that you felt drop out from you. Did you feel that one from the back that dropped into the earth there?
I feel something on my back here sometimes and it comes and goes.
Right now?
Not
like
now.
Specifically now?
No, earlier on.
So when you were doing the exhale and releasing weight into the earth, did you have any really big one that felt like you dropped a big 10, 15 pound chunk of weight? I
didn't think I felt that, no.
Okay. So what you actually did is you released that parasite yourself. There was one there, but it's not there now. And what it's hooking into is the lack of joy. It's not that it's hooking into a nasty emotion. It's hooking into a void space of emotion. And the more you clean out the anger, the more you clean out the sadness, the easier it's going to be to feel that happiness and that joy.
Cool.
Awesome. Anything else?
Oh, I did. It just slipped.
It happens. So if you have the question pop up later, just email me. I'm going to be sending this video directly through my personal email. Me and Sierra have access to it. And so if you have any questions, you've got two people who can field them. And if it's something that it has to be answered directly by me, she'll let me know.
I got it. So during meditation, sometimes I have the sensation of wanting to gag and purge. Is that something you should let happen? Because sometimes I'm coughing up or...
So I don't get in the way of stuff like that. When I feel something that is on an automatic movement, it's something that it's indicative of trauma release. And so I don't get in the way of those. I let them happen and I breathe stability and calmness into it. And it's not like I try to shut it down. If anything, I try to turn it up, because what's happening as you're purging, as you're releasing, as you're having that intention, it's your body trying to let something go. And if you can tune into what it's letting go and then turn up that actual, that system that it's running through right then and there, you can stop that almost immediately, because then you purged it with intention. And it's something that the body is naturally shamanistically letting go. And if you bring your conscious attention to it, it's like that instead of like 10 minutes. Anything else?
Anyone else got any questions?
Very good. Anybody else? Elizabeth? Enan?
Do you see any implants or parasites in my...
So again, did you feel those places that were dropping out of your body when you were releasing into the earth? I can't hear you.
Yes.
Okay. So when you were releasing those into the earth, those heavy places, those were literally the implants that were wrapped around the dense energy. And so a lot of times people try to get really focused on like, well, what did it look like? What was it doing? The bottom line is, like, the more you pay attention to that, the more you're focusing on it and cementing it into place, because now you have your energy that's building it up. I say just go in and create something that flushes these things loose and don't even pay attention to them. Just get rid of them.
Okay.
Ta-da. So yes, you did have stuff, if that's what you were looking for, but everything that you felt drop out of your body, everything that you felt open and release, that was something that was letting go. That was an implant that was being dissolved. That was a parasite that was taken care of, and you were opening up. And so it's all about just knowing what you want to feel like. And anything that doesn't feel good, oftentimes there's something inside of there that's, if it's not just dense energy, then there's an implant or a parasite or an entity inside of it as well.
So most of us have implants and parasites.
There's trillions of these beings that are here. Like for every single man, woman, and child on the planet, there's like 190 of these things. Like, I mean, there's a lot, you know? So, yeah, pretty much. I'm sure even I have connections that I don't know about, because as you clean out different layers of trauma and density inside of you, things that are hiding inside of those, they come up to the surface. And, I'm always just on the lookout, and it's been a good, I'd say 2.5, 3 months since I've had like an actual entity tap into me. But I don't even look at them like attacks anymore. I let them tap into whatever they're tapping into, and I follow it through and say, oh, thank you so much for showing me the next place of density I needed to work on. I've been looking for it for months. You can't stay here, bye, but thank you. And it's like, I just use them now. It's, I don't have any anger. I don't have any hatred. I don't have any malevolence towards these things. I have nothing but like sadness for their situation and compassion for them, because they're experiencing fear and domination and control on a level that we could never, ever, ever even come close to. And, for a whole entire system that it needs everybody to be angry with each other, and a world that's starting to wake up into the joy and the understanding of how connected we are, they're literally watching their apocalypse. It's the end of their way of life, and the amount of energy they have to put in to get the same return that they did even just 10 years ago is astronomical. And they're running out of food, they're running out of fuel, and they're freaking out. And it's sad. It really is.
Can you tell me what meridian hatred would be related to, or can it be related to different ones?
So there's not a specific meridian that hatred has a hook into. If anything, it's more of an organ than anything. And so hatred is not anger, and it's not grief. Hatred is like a mixture of anger and sadness. It's like, this person did that, and so I'm so angry at them that it sparks into a completely different fuel, that with the grief sparking inside of it, the anger then turns into something new. And more often than not, I find this underneath the solar plexus. And so it's a mixture of things. You'll have like worry and anxiety and fear that are connected into all of this. And the kidneys and the bladder, those deal with the fear. The gallbladder and the liver, that deals with the anger. And the stomach and the spleen, it deals with the anxiety. And it's like there's a pull, and it catches it right in the middle underneath the solar plexus there.
Wow.
So when I tune into that on that level, the hatred is almost like a like if you weren't hurt to begin with, you'd never be able to hate, because it's only with the hurt. There's a taking. There's something that's missing. I don't have what's mine, and I'm angry because of that. And that morphs into that hatred. And so bottom line is, if you go in and you start cleaning out the wounds and the sadness and those levels before, the hatred kind of falls apart, and then you'll be angry and you can clean out the anger, but then it's not mixed into everything.
Because hatred must be ancient. I mean.
Yeah. So hatred is something that when the first drop into resonance, the first fall happened, where there was a higher dimensional consciousness directly connected into creation, and then all of a sudden it was a lower dimensional consciousness separated from creation. That first schism right there, that was where the first fear was ever felt. And with that fear came jealousy. Like these things have, they have what I don't. I'm jealous of it. That makes me angry. And then that fear, jealousy, anger turned into the first hatred. And it was nowhere near as momentous on the physical level as it actually should have been. It was just somebody in a cave pissed off, and isolated and feeling alone. And that's all it was. And when you have a bunch of beings who don't understand anything like that, they just didn't know what to do. They didn't reach out. They didn't understand what they were feeling. So they had no compassion. They had no empathy. And so they kept on doing what they were doing. And that was where that first schism came from. And, it went, it was the fear. That was the first one. Then it was the sadness of the loss. And then it was the anger at other people having what was lost. And then that turned into jealousy and then hatred. So it's like a whole little nasty cocktail right there.
Good one to work on.
Always. Hatred, it's, anger is not good for you. Anger is not good at all. It does really wicked things to the body. It causes a lot of blockage, but hatred is on a completely different level. It's like being angry for the sake that you're wounded. And the more angry you get about being wounded, the more wounded you get. And it's a vicious, vicious catch-22 that it really eats holes inside of you. And, I say this from personal experience. I was a very hateful, spiteful, angry person, and it did a number on me. It did a lot. And I'm still recovering from it. I'm still finding places inside of me that hold on to that tension and to that feeling. But that's what I'm here for, is to find those places and to get rid of them so that I don't pass them down and I can create something better.
Right. Thank you for that.
That's why I'm here. Is there anything else, Elizabeth?
Do you have a snail mail address that people can communicate with you, or are you all just on the internet?
So I don't have a snail mail, but I do have an email directly through my website. And so the video that you guys are going to be getting, I'm going to be sending it directly to the emails that you signed up to the class with. Okay. And that email right there, it's insight@unleashingnatural-humanity. You can respond back to me there. Me and Sierra both have access to it. And so if one of us doesn't see it, the other one will bring our attention to it. Great.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. This was really a fun class. Thank you for showing up. You really did an excellent job. Is there anything else? Any other questions? Anybody got anything else to add?
I just realized where that attachment is. It's going to be in the layer of jealousy, because I actually had the dream of, it was an incestuous dream, which is ancestral. And the entity was in my sister, and it attached onto me when I was jealous of her power, and it came into my heart. So it's going to be hidden probably under jealousy.
Jealousy is a very hard one to tune into. Like with the big emotions like love or happiness, they're very bubbly. There's a very obvious point that we can point to and say that's moving. Or like the anger, it's a burning place. That jealousy is insidious. It's almost like it's like a consciousness that's just sitting there looking, and it's just sitting there looking, and that observation is, there's things going on behind it, but it's the observation and that feeling of that observation inside of that you want to start looking at, because there's a lot of things that come from jealousy, but that initial push, it's like a needle that's threading its way in through, and then everything's getting pulled along with it, and the thread gets bigger and bigger as it goes by. And it's an insidious one, and if you can start figuring out where the jealousy is hidden inside of your body, that one is it's going to open up the awareness inside of you to the point to where you'll be able to find just about anything, no problem.
She was getting a psychic reading, and the person was telling her she was really powerful, and that's what it, then the thing came into her, sat on me, dived straight into my heart. Then I woke up and it was moving around in my heart and I could feel it.
Interesting. So again, I did feel something that you released that was moving around earlier from the back of the heart space. What does that feel like right now?
It feels like there's, the myofascial point underneath the shoulder blade.
Yes.
There's something really tight there, really tight. And it wants to click down the vagus nerve into the heart.
So what I want you to do is start inhaling into that jealousy sensation and start making that stronger, and start finding where in the body it's uncomfortable and responding to that jealousy energy.
Okay.
You're starting to poke on it. You're starting to move it. Are you noticing where that's at?
It actually feels like my throat.
So I'm feeling two different spots specifically. I'm feeling the one up in the above the voice box right there, and the other one underneath the solar plexus in the spot I was just talking about, in between the stomach, spleen, and the kidneys there. So I actually think it is the stomach, spleen, kidney area underneath the solar plexus that is holding on to the throat. So go ahead and pull a smile breath full of light and laughter right directly into that space under the solar plexus, and blossom that open and see if you can drop the whole framework out of the body. Whatever you're doing right now, you're uncovering it. I see it. Keep going. So what I'm doing is he just uncovered emotional blockage that was cloaking this field. And as soon as he released that, I could see this entity inside of the heart space. And what I'm doing is I'm lighting up all the way around it, and I'm crushing in on it. I've got light and laughter on all 360 degrees. There we go. And what I'm going to do is take my hand and light my fingers up with joy, with compassion, with love. I'm going to press right into where the heart space of this entity should be. Opening up an artificial heart space. Feeling this laughter and this tingling starting to move through the framework, transmuting. So what's the dolphin connection?
No idea.
I'm just seeing a crystalline dolphin that's sitting here right now after I just released that. How do you feel? What's going on?
I feel the same.
That's very surprising for me. Stretch this out. Go ahead and move your arm on the front side and get the chest to open. Start getting this all to move on the physical levels.
It's a lot of grinding.
I think what's happening is that you're tuning into the muscle tension that isn't allowing the movement. I think more than anything, the stretching, like I was talking about earlier, is going to help you out. That grinding is all the tendons, all the bones that are not in alignment there. There's got to be something more that we can do on this level. Here, let me see if I can start tapping into the myofascial brain connections. Okay, so right at the base of the brain, the amygdala, where the vagus nerve connects in, right in that area, I'm feeling a tension and a density. I'm going to start moving through this, melting the fascia. There we go. How's that feeling there, Cal?
Still not feeling anything yet.
Well, if you're not feeling anything, pay attention to the results of what we're working on. How's the tension? How's the pain levels?
Honestly, I can't feel any.
Oh, that's where we want to be, where there's nothing popping up on the surface level right there. So again, that's the other thing that you're going to want to be doing. You've got the physical tension that's blocking off your energy flow and the awareness of where the movement is. Pay attention to the results. If you don't feel it, that's okay. Pay attention to what's happening. Pay attention to what it felt like before and what it feels like now. And then if it is having an effect, keep on doing what you're doing. It'll break through eventually. You just have to keep pushing. Okay?
Yep.
All right. Is there anything else?
With the intermediate, will you be doing that in June?
Yeah, we've got one already scheduled for, I'm actually not quite sure when it is. It's probably June, though.
There's one in May 20th, I think.
I'm pretty sure that's the only one that we've got scheduled right now. So June is actually a really big month for me. I've got a bunch of conferences. I've got my retreat that I'm doing, and I'm not going to have time to be doing classes or sessions. And so we might not actually even have something going on in June. But July and August, the end of July and August is where we're really going to start picking these back up again. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Is there anything else? All righty then. This is an absolutely excellent class. You guys did amazing. I'm super excited to get this video out to you. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to get a hold of me. The email that you're getting this from, you can respond directly to. I'm going to be sending out a group email to begin with, so don't respond directly to that group email. Just write a new one to inside@unleashing-natural-humanity. And if you have any questions, just send them my way. Like, this is what I do. You're not going to bug me. Like, this is why I'm here. So don't be strangers, okay?
Thank you
so much, Eric.
Bye-bye, everybody. This is absolutely excellent. And without further ado, ta-ta.